Can you hear me? Okay. I will, if you want to take one and pass it around, I'm going to take one for myself for reference. There you go. All right. I am excited to speak with you all this evening. I am encouraged by the progress that we have made as a school through the CSI process. If you've heard me talk about it at all in the past, you have heard me say that we have learned a lot. We have come a long way. And before I get into the details of this, I'm very proud of our staff, of our students, and myself, to be honest with you, because we've really dove into this and done the very best that we can. I'd like to introduce those who are with me this evening. Part of them are our leadership team, and part of them is our LSIC members. Adam Gross is part of our LSIC. Teresa Carter is part of our LSIC. Genesis Mahalko is LSIC. Lori Thompson is part of our leadership team. Cindy Cox is LSIC. And Rebecca Burnett is part of our leadership team as well. And a huge part of what we have really focused on to help our overall school achievement is really utilizing the LSIC as well as our leadership team effectively the way they were designed to be used. So I wanted members of both of those teams to be here this evening. Now, I provided you all with a one-pager, which I have to say was hard to do, of all the accomplishments that we've had. Let's start with, you'll see 4 goals. These goals are in our strategic plan, so we'll just work right down through them. In the strategic plan, we focus on the general summative assessment, growing 2% in ELA and 2.5% in math. This year compared to last year, in ELA, we were 54% proficient, which that was a 23% increase. So I'm very pleased and proud of everyone who made that happen. Math was 47% proficient, pretty much the same as the year prior to that, but what I've noticed is as we're growing, we're kind of growing in stair steps. So we'll grow a little bit of math, have a huge leap in reading, and then the next year we'll have a little leap in reading and a huge leap in math, which it doesn't matter to me as long as we're showing progress and the students are learning and we're just chugging along. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And then our science, we had 42% proficient, and that was an increase of 22%. And I think that that has a lot to do with our increased focus on science, but also incorporating Jason into our lessons as well. So we are not, obviously, at the end of the year for the summative yet. The closest thing we have to compare of where we may be by May on the summative is iReady. And in December of 2024, we were already achieving 2% higher in grades 3rd, 4th, and 5th compared to last year. And then in December 2024, which was our middle of the year diagnostic, we were increased by 9% compared to last year. So it's showing steady increases. Like I said, this was 3 months ago as well. So our expectation is we will have increased growth on the summative by the end of the year. Now, going into our second goal in the strategic plan is school climate, including social, emotional, and developmental needs of the students. Through CSI, we have really focused on consistent rules, and that's from grade level to grade level, K through 5, pre-K through 5 actually, and making sure that those rules are communicated with our families, holding students accountable for their behavior daily, and making sure that all of the teachers have the same expectations in their classrooms. Again, this is a work in progress, but we've shown great improvements in this as well. As I said earlier, proper use of the leadership team, LSIC, and the Effective Schools Operations team, also known as our safety committee, have really improved family engagement, community involvement, and consistency for students. My weekly walkthroughs don't only ensure that engaging instruction occurs regularly, but also validates that the school maintains a positive environment for students. And if there's a time where I see that either one of those is something we need to address, we meet immediately. Instant feedback, whether it's positive or negative, is given to the teachers as soon as walkthroughs are over, because I instantly email the walkthrough to them. So they see it immediately regardless of what it is, and if we have to have a further conversation, we do. The West Virginia School Counseling Plan has also been utilized this year, and that focuses on social, emotional, and development needs of the students. So for attendance, last year we had, our attendance rate was 93%. This year we are hoping to be at 95%, and based on our chronically absent data sheet, it looks like we are on target for that. Hopefully we'll hold steady and that will come to pass. We have monthly attendance incentives. Through the CSI process, we make sure that our our instruction is more engaging for the students, that they are collaborating, that they are a part of the process. And I think that has also made them feel like they need to be at school. They feel like they're an important part of the classroom and their input is important and they need to be there. But I will say also positive relationships and friendships encourage kids to come. And I have noticed, especially this year, that when I do my walkthroughs, the classrooms just seem fuller. Like there's more consistency of having, oh, all the kids were here, only one kid is absent. So I'm seeing that consistently as I do my walkthroughs as well. So I have talked to anyone who is willing to listen to me. Weekly walkthroughs have been a game changer for me. It has really helped me keep my hand on the heartbeat of the school in so many more ways than just instruction. So that will be something that will continue even when CSI is over, because it is a huge game changer. And then finally, and then I'll let these guys talk a little bit once you're ready for questions. Our goal is to have a high-quality, fun-filled family engagements. We do that throughout the year. Fall festivals, school parties, Title I family engagements, and the Pinewood Derby are just a few examples of that. But also this year, teachers are inviting families into their classrooms at least twice per year for a more personal family engagement time. Whether that be, for example, kindergarten, they do their gingerbread houses. They invite families in to help the kids. The third grade this year had a move-up meeting for the parents where they just talked about, we're not in second grade anymore, we're in third grade now, and it's a big jump, and had that conversation, and anywhere in between. And then our year 3 review with Leah Ernest, who was our state contact, occurred on March 3rd, 2025. And we should have a comprehensive summary in April for what she saw when she did her walkthroughs. The teachers had to do a survey that was just about me. That was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. And but we're looking forward to seeing what they have to say, and I'm excited, and I'm very proud of these guys. They've been with me from day one, and they haven't quit on me yet, so thank you all.
Okay. I don't want to stifle any questions or push anybody. We've voted 15 minutes per school. If we don't, we'll roll over into a regular meeting. I'm good with that, if that's what everybody wants to do. I just want to make everybody heads up on that so they know where we're going, all right? Ask all the questions we need, and if we get behind, we get behind. But don't fuss at me when 6:15 rolls around and we're still doing it, all right? So, questions from the board?
Sarah, do you do your walkthroughs on a schedule? Do teachers know when you're coming, or do you break
No.
that? Okay.
They don't. Now, I front load them at the beginning of the year in the summer, and I put them on random days. And some days that works out, and some days it doesn't.
Sure.
I might have scheduled them on the same day as an administrator's meeting or something, and then I just flip it around.
Sure.
But I front load all of that before the year even starts, because if I don't put it on my calendar, it's not going to happen.
Sure.
So I just make sure that it's there.
Okay. Thank you.
So, what do you see as the reasons for improvement?
Consistency. I have noticed too, one thing that we really focused on was student engagement and application. Our teachers, they work their hearts out, and they always have. but it was that extra level of making sure the kids are engaged. And like, for example, something as simple as not reading the directions for them, but letting the students read the directions, or having students have the time to read their story on their own, all the way to science projects or working math problems on their own without being directly guided by the teacher, because they needed to learn that it's okay to make mistakes. And that's how we do our best learning, is when we make those mistakes. And the teacher can guide them through that. It's a little messy at first, but in the end, they learn more in the long run.
Okay.
How did you utilize you said proper use of LSIC? I don't know what that is. How did you use the LSIC?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How did you use the LSIC?
Okay, so LSIC, a big part of that is community involvement and parent involvement. So as we were going through the process and making these changes, we would talk with them, and we would see from their perspective, what areas do you think we need to improve on? So for example, we may feel like our communication's great, and we're getting everything out there that they need to know, but when really there may have been some times or some instances where we could have been a little more clear on things. That's just one example. But just getting their input to make sure, because sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees, and they were able to help us see areas that we could fine tune our improvement to make it even more dramatic for the kids.
That answer what you needed?
This is more of an Ernie question, and before I begin beating up on him, beating up on him, the proficiency information that you provided is phenomenal. It really, really is. It shows that you and your staff are doing whatever needs to be done. Now, Mr. Atkins, a couple weeks ago, we got a report, mid-year report, on where we were in all these different grades and proficiency numbers. And very few, well, that's not fair to say. There were people that were sort of mid-range, but there was still a lot down in the red. Do these numbers help move that up, if that makes sense?
The numbers she's sharing is last year's end-of-the-year assessment from the GSA. You're referring to the middle of the year already.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
also addressed that, showing that she's had, I think she said 2% and 9% growth from the beginning to the middle. And so the anticipation is from December until May, you will see that continued growth. But we had strong growth in every elementary school in reading and math, from DOI to MOI on iReady.
Well, since, as I like to say, not just the legislature, but the state school board in their infinite wisdom, they grade us based on where we are in these categories. Is this going to help improve the position? Position may not be the right word, but how Mercer County is being viewed. Yes, we are doing a good job. It's getting better. Is this going to get us in a different color?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you can't have proficiency without progress, and so all of these principles, I'm certain, will talk about focusing on the progress and growth.
Good.
And so our goal has been, on the progress side, to make sure what Dr. Gross was referring to, the state requires 2% in ELA and 2.5% in math annually to meet that growth target. And so we're working toward, we've exceeded that in the last couple of years, so absolutely, I think that's what they're working on. And iReady is so aligned with and predictive of the GSA. They show over 90% correlation, but our data is higher than that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And if I can clarify real quick about that, like I said, during the year, we don't have anything else to go on besides iReady, and the goals are the GSA. So when I looked at the December scores, middle of the year diagnostic in reading specifically, I looked at 3, 4, and 5, and based on that time, we were already 2% higher than we were last year on the GSA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Dr. Gross, do you have extra copies of your report? If Dr. Atkins, Dr. Bowen, and myself could get one, that'd be great. So thank you.
I can bring you one here in just a second.
I got you. Thank you.
How, do you see benefit from the immediate response to walkthroughs, and what is that benefit?
So, yes. Now, the changes in the classroom based on walkthroughs, took a little bit of time. But immediately you were able to see where certain teachers just needed a little bit of support, but also school-wide holes that were there that we needed to address as an entire staff. And both are beneficial. Yeah, immediately you see, you know what? I thought that the kids were engaged and they really weren't, and we're going to fix it. So, just as an example.
Last question from me is, how are you increasing attendance?
So, but as I said, there are days where I'm kind of shocked myself at how full the classrooms are because I'm used to seeing previous years. And I really feel like a huge part of that, two things. One is having the kids truly engaged in the instruction during the day. There is a part of them that I feel like believes that their class needs them and they're a part of that classroom community, but also positive relationships, having high expectations. There are several kids in my 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, even the older ones, that say, I have to be here because my teacher needs me. We had one kid, she was aiming for perfect attendance, and she got sick during the day, and she hated to go home. She didn't want to go home. But you can't be throwing up in the classroom. You got to go home.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a goal. And she's like, by golly, I'm going to do it next year. So it's still a goal that she has. And she's not the only one.
Other questions? Anybody?
Actually, one thing I'm kind of interested in, since it's beginning, I'm probably, for the other principals, you can kind of, I'm going to go to the same place. I think you've done an excellent job, and actually we've already answered a little bit, but how much, and we don't know yet, but how much do you think the new iReady program will contribute to testing success? And the reading and, well, the writing programs that we've instituted here in the last year or two.
So I'll address reading and math first, since
Right.
that's specifically in iReady. I'm a huge iReady believer. It's made a believer out of me. The Pathways have, these guys will tell you, I will harp on them if it's Wednesday and it's like, you know what, we haven't met our minutes, guys. We've got 2 days left. You better get your minutes in. And I'll send screenshots if I have to, because it really helps the kids know how to answer those high-level questions. iReady Math, I am a believer in that as well. I'll be curious to see how much improvement we have in math utilizing the new series. I'll become an even bigger believer once we have those scores back, but we have really trusted the process and done our best. Now, a new series is a new series, and it kind of takes a year or so to fumble through it and figure it out. And that's fine. That's the case with everybody. But I do believe that once everything gets comfortable and the teachers get set with it, it's going to show great improvements.
Well, I was meant to put another sentence in there, and I'm getting old and forgetful. We all know that the teacher's the number one goal, and it sounds like your teachers are doing a great job. And we've got some initial data before this meeting, and we're really tickled. I speak for, I hope, the rest of us about what we're seeing in our elementary schools, and that goes to everybody and all of our elementary teachers. And I know that it's the teacher number one. iReady is just a tool
That's
for
right.
the teacher to use.
That's right. And that's one thing that I do tell my teachers, because it was this, it's taken from our instruction, but and there is nothing that replaces a good teacher in a
Right.
classroom, period. What iReady does, though, is it calculates the deficiencies so quick, something that teachers are going to have to do anyway. In the long run, it saves them time, because it just does it so fast that 45 minutes, you're done.
Preaching to the choir. I used to think that, you go back in your own career, and you come out of college, and you're honestly lost. It's a little while. And I used to call it, there's a science of teaching, which probably iReady, but there's an art. And the teacher is in control of the art, to be able to pick up on those things and know how to get that kid encouraged. So again, I appreciate our teachers that do this.
Anybody else? Okay, so y'all will know that I'm not completely gone off the deep end. I get two different sheets on the order of our meeting. One says Pledge of Allegiance after LSAC presentations, and one says before. So we're going to say the pledge now. We're going to do that.
I thought you were just waiting till the regular meeting.
Well, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's the Boy Scout in me. All right, Mercer School.
All right, this thing is on. I'm just going to keep standing. First, want to take just a quick minute to introduce our CSI team. We have Weena Abelhausen, who is our Title I teacher. Then I have Miss Teresa Dinger, who's new to Mercer this year as a special education teacher in the multi-categorical room. Tammy Vest has been with Mercer for a long time as a multi-categorical special education teacher, and also Sam Terry, who is our autism teacher. He teaches in the high AU room. So this is our CSI team. We are designated as CSI for our special ed cell, and we are showing some slow and steady growth every year, and we are super proud of that. These guys work really hard, and they've got some good stories to tell you about our kids and about the things that we see that are more than just the numbers on a test here or there. Although we're seeing that growth with our students on the test scores, some of the things that happen in the classroom are pretty magical, and they've got lots to share with you there. I'll talk real quickly about the 4 goals that we have, and I gave you guys a packet. It includes our CSI plan, which was submitted to the state, and it has our goals in it. Also, our data for from last year to this year, so that you can kind of get an idea of our growth. And it's sometimes easier to look at it on a piece of paper than it is when I'm spitting it out to you. Our ELA goal was the same as everyone in the county, and that's that 2% growth in ELA for all of our students. We showed from 22-23 to 23-24, we are showing 4% growth in ELA on the general summative assessment for our special education students. So we're super proud of that. We met our goal. We actually doubled it. We're proud of that. This year, right now, middle of year on iReady, we are showing 6% growth in ELA for our special ed students. So we're well on target there, and we're going to continue moving and growing. It's good to know that halfway through the year, that's where we are, and we can only go up from there. So we're excited about that. We're doing a lot of different things. Of course, the data-driven interventions in the classroom. We have hired, and we share with Princeton Middle School, a interventionist for our students. So she pulls them, and one of the things that I was actually going to say is there's no supplement for that teacher interaction, that human one-to-one interaction with these kids. Miss Neal comes in every morning, and she pulls those kids, and they comb through their data. They're looking at their data notebooks, and they are working on those gaps, and we're seeing that in the data with those students. They're growing tremendously based on that one-to-one with them. Our Title I staff does the same thing, but there was just nothing really that beats that having those extra hands-on. And we saw that last year with our growth because we were able to have an aide in the multi-cat classroom. And then we had a student teacher in there, so the more adults we had, the better success we saw with our kids. It changed that group size from 1 to 9 or 2 to 9 to, just so we had 2 or 3 kids per adult, and that made a tremendous difference. We also last year had a part-time interventionist, so we had 4 adults with that group of kids at any given time during the day, and it made a huge difference. We're doing lots of professional development to try to strengthen that literacy instruction. It's important for us to grow ourselves so that we can help grow our students. Things change constantly. We had an instructional coach in the building for 3 weeks, actually end of February through the first couple weeks of March, and she was actually there to help support our teachers. So she moved into the classrooms and worked on behavior management, classroom management. She helped teach them a little bit about data and about understanding the iReady data a little more.
she helped them with special ed and with their minutes and how to read those reports and actually look at that to try to figure out what other things you can do for these students in the gen ed classroom to help grow them, as well as what we're doing for them in the pull-out setting. That was actually very well received, and they were like, "Can she stay?" I was like, "Well, I don't have enough money, but we'll try." Our second goal was math, and that is achieving 2.5% growth in math. Last year on the GSA, from the previous year to last year, we grew 3% in math, actually 5%, sorry, let me look at the right numbers. We grew 5% in math, and I have to talk about science a little bit. We grew 13% in science, which was pretty incredible for our special ed kids last year. We're super proud of that. A lot of that is robotics. A lot of that is that interventionist that came in doing some STEM things and doing robotics with those kids when she pulled them. I think that helped make a difference. It was a connection for them that maybe wasn't otherwise made in the classroom. So we had some great growth on the GSA. Right now on iReady, middle of the year, we are up 5%. So we're super proud of that. Math is definitely a little different with this curriculum, and the teachers have thoroughly appreciated iReady coming in and sitting with them. She just came in back in January. That gave them a few months to get their feet under the curriculum and really know what kind of questions they had. They really didn't know what they didn't know at the beginning of the year when she came to us, so that was much appreciated and very effective. Our third goal is attendance, and we do lots of different things for attendance. You can see from the little colorful paper that last year we were at 93.6% middle of the year. This year we are 94.3%. That's quite shocking considering that we had a flu outbreak in January and February, but we rolled right on through that. We do lots of things with the kids, incentives. We have lots of days of fun, and we work really hard to make school the place that kids want to be, and also our staff. So my staff attendance has improved drastically over the last 3 years, as well as that of the kids, because we are constantly doing things, whether it be something as simple as a dress-up day, or we have people coming in to work with them, do fun things. We try to schedule things and make it as inviting as we possibly can so the kids want to be in school. And we're seeing that is definitely helping. Our Title I team had a great parent engagement night just a couple weeks ago. We had about 200 in attendance. I think it was about 100 of our students that the families came out for. That was huge. We made a big ordeal out of our back to school bash this year. We wanted parents to come in, feel welcome, feel excited and happy about school. It's hard for them. It's hard for them to let go of their babies. So we brought out food trucks. We brought out bounce houses. We had a big party, and everybody was laughing and smiling. So I don't think we had any tears this year, the first day of school, did we? Which is not the norm. I mean, even none of our third graders, they're moving to a whole new school and a whole new world. But we're trying to do things like that to engage our families, to encourage them to come out, and to make sure that they know that we love their babies just as much as they do, and we're going to take care of them so that they're comfortable, and it's easier for us to have that working relationship. And our last goal is implementation of our PBIS program. We are in year 1 of PBIS. Last year we tested and did a lot of trials. You can see from our data, it looks great on paper, but I have to tell you the real story there. Last year, middle of the year, disruptive and disrespectful, we had 60 WEVIS referrals from special ed students. This year we have 24, but I have to tell you the backstory on that. What they changed the way that they code behaviors in WEVIS this year. So now there are 3 disruptive disrespectfuls. There's a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. So if we add all our level 1, level 2, and level 3 behaviors together, disruptive, disrespectful right now, we have 99. But we expected that because this is our first year of full implementation of PBIS. We are documenting every single solitary behavior, and that was not something that we did in the past. Before, we documented if there was a punishment, if they got lunch detention, if they had in-school suspension, if they had things like that, that was documented in WEVIS. We weren't documenting all of the behaviors of our students. So now that we are documenting those, we expect that number to increase a little bit before it decreases. We are seeing that we've had to shift and change our program this year, and that's something that's going to have to continue to happen. Through our PBIS team meetings each month, we found that the beginning of the year, we were doing an end-of-month reward party for the kids. We figured out real quickly that it was too far, it was too long. So the first few weeks of school, we did them weekly, and then we quickly went, I think October, we went to an end of month, and we did that October, November, and it didn't work. So we backed up, and we're now doing weekly incentives in the classroom. Our teachers can cash out their points through the store. We purchase the badges like Princeton Middle has so that we can keep track of that, and we can award points to kids throughout the day. The weekly parties seem to be more effective, and the kids are enjoying that tremendously. So we're going to continue doing that. And we do come back to the table very often. We're looking at our data. We're looking at where those behavior incidents are occurring, and we are constantly moving in a direction that we can be preventive and proactive there so that we can really truly see those numbers going down. It's hard to tell, like without combing through every single behavior write-up last year for special ed students, which of those were level 1, level 2, or level 3, but the majority of those behaviors would have been probably level 1, level 2. Normally, I try to make sure that I categorize those appropriately, but the new system makes it a little bit easier for us to accurately define what the behaviors are with those students. We are doing with iReady, we're doing incentives with our students. So we've got posters and competitions going on throughout the classrooms. We found that has helped tremendously. We had a little bit of apathy at the beginning of the year with iReady, and like the teachers were pushing back a little bit, the students were pushing back a little bit. They had figured out how to turn their computers on and let their minutes run and not do anything, because they're just smart like that, and it takes us a little while to figure it out, because we're old and we don't have that. So it took us just a little bit of time to get our feet under us and find what was going to motivate them to actually take advantage of something that was helping them. And we have found that these incentive programs has got them going crazy. So we're making posters. We hang posters on their doors, and you can see the kids out in the hallway when they finish a lesson, when they pass it at 80%, they're out there coloring their squares, and they want to know when they're going to have their bubblegum party. We did Coke and Mentos, so they got to go outside and explode a Mentos in a Coke bottle. But it's just little simple things like that are helping make a difference for our students. But super proud of my team. They've done an incredible job, and we're going to keep going and take care of these babies.
Thank you. Board members.
Shelley, what's the advantage of more thorough documenting of behaviors, and is it worth the time that it requires the staff to do so?
It really helps us be able to effectively determine what's going on. A lot of times we have the same behaviors out of students, and it's really hard to pinpoint the function of behavior, and it's difficult to pinpoint what might be causing it without that documentation. So if we know what time of day it's happening, what class it might be happening before, during, or after, or if it's at recess, or if it's on the bus, it gives us a better opportunity to control those situations and be proactive and prevent it before that kid has a blow up or an issue. Then we can look at the data and figure out what's going on without them even realizing that.
So when something new happens, you're going back and looking at the past patterns to see if you can identify what's going on?
Yes, we can look at the past write-ups. We start looking at, sometimes it'll just hit you, you're like, oh, like this is every day before lunch. Is he hangry? Or, what's going on? Or it's before math. Or a lot of times our biggest issues, and we knew that, but we really see it in the numbers now. The biggest issues are just those unstructured times like recess, and sometimes like they get in the bathroom and the teacher can't be standing in the boys' bathroom with them. So, so it helps us be able to develop a plan to hit those things before they become an issue.
The faculty check a little bit too, as they progress through school, the middle school principals will have that, and the high school principals will have that. You'd be surprised. I know that we used to want to have a blank slate, so to speak, to go prejudge. But yet when there's a problem, and you can go back to what you all have documented, it really helps solve issues. Not all the time, but sometimes you can see certain things. I won't mention them, but then you go, aha.
Right.
So it does help. But
on down the line.
Other board members?
Yeah, I've noticed, I think I'm correct, that all the teachers you brought with you are some form of special ed?
Yes, sir.
Is that a spatial emphasis?
Yes, sir.
That's what
Our
they're-
CSI
that's the whole thing,
designation was for special ed,
That's
yes,
what
our
they're
center.
identified for, so that's a special ed.
The whole school's doing good.
Well, it's good that you asked that, because if anybody is watching this, they probably are wondering why you were just talking about special ed. So it's good that you identified that. Other questions?
I have the same question, how you see the role of the iReady. I know you mentioned, I think you may have already answered it, but do you have any other information that you could share with the board over test prep with iReady, and do you think it's a useful tool?
It's absolutely a useful tool, and it is pushing not just my students, but my teachers to increase the level of intensity of the instruction for them. That the DOK is, we're moving up, and we're not just hitting like the DOK 1, DOK 2 questions. It's forcing us all to look deeper into all of that instruction and make sure that we're pushing these kids to that extent. Now, the kids have really pushed back, and I told you, they don't want to do it. They're like,
Right.
this is hard, this is awful, I'm going to figure out a way to get around this because I don't want to do it, because they didn't like being challenged. But now that we made it fun, or they think we made it fun, they want to do it because they want a bubblegum party, and they don't realize the opportunities and what the gains that they are getting from it.
Other board members? So I'll ask you the same question I asked earlier. What do you see as to the reasons for improvement?
It is really my staff. It is having the ability to have the extra hands on these students. It is pushing and pulling, and even for us, our House Bill 3035 meetings, bringing those parents in. We brought them in even for our special ed students, because we wanted to make that connection with our families. We wanted to make sure that they realize the importance of education, and we want them to feel comfortable being able to come to school and have a conversation with us, because they may or may not have had a good experience in school. But it ultimately comes down to the staff pouring their heart and soul into these kids and being able to have extra hands, because we are, every building is cut down very skinny on staffing. We have to follow those guidelines that are put forth by the federal government and the state, but there's just no replacement for having the extra funds to being able to bring in extra adults to give them that intensive small group instruction.
You may not know this information off the top of your head. If you don't, that's okay. But what percentage of your students is in SPED?
I calculated that not too long ago, and I was at 27%, I believe.
So more than 1 in 4 children.
Yes.
That's a challenge. But you're doing well. You just gotta keep your head up and moving forward. That's all you can do, in spite of everything crazy that comes from Washington and Charleston. Just keep your head up and keep moving forward. Other board members?
Thank you.
All right, next up is Princeton Middle.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Roberts, and I'll start by introducing our team. We are designated as a CSI targeted school for year 3 for our special education population as well. First, we have Miss Tracy Crexton. She is our 8th grade science teacher, LSIC extraordinaire, and CSI team member. She teaches around 30 kiddos that have IEPs in her general education science classroom. Then we have Mr. Williams, who's been with us now for 2 years as a long-term sub, and we are just so thankful for him. He does all of our small group pullouts for mathematics for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Mr. Rife, who has taken over administratively the special education population and all those things. Miss Gross, who is our 7th grade inclusion teacher, general ed teacher for the inclusion population for 7th grade, and Miss Cutlip, who teaches math, and she is the general education teacher. And both of them have probably at least 20 to 30 students apiece that are in their general education classroom that have IEPs. So for us, let's see, and my handout is blue and pink. That's how Canva made it, sorry. But we'll start with just our general goals. And the goals that we came up with, I think all of us were at what is that called? Glade Springs Resort this summer. And we all had to come up with the targeted special ed year 3 groups, had to create what our year 3 goals were going to be for the year. And as everyone's already kind of talked about, we cannot measure and articulate. We know what we want the goal to be for the end of the year for the summative assessment, but we can't measure that continuously throughout the year. So we're going to use the iReady data. So for example, goal number 1, we're going to improve our math scores by 2% from beginning to end of year. So at this point, halfway through, we have our September and then our December data. Special education students only, we had a 3.44% increase in math. As far as our growth, the median progress, we were at 93%, so 93%, again, for special education population only, are 93% of the way towards that typical growth. Not the stretch growth, but the typical growth. And then the data piece that means the most to me is when we look at students and we rank them, kind of students who are at or above grade level, students who are 1 grade level below, 2 grade levels below, or 3 grade levels below. We have gone in math for special education kiddos. We have gone from 3 students that are 1 grade level or better below to 16. So that means we have taken 13 kiddos that were 2 or more grade levels below, and now they're only 1 grade level below. And to me, for a special education population of kids, once they've already reached middle school, that's just a beautiful thing. And then, so moving on to reading. The iReady reading, again, to improve it by 2%. We have moved from our beginning of the year scale score was a 504 to a 525, so that's a 4.25% increase. 131% is that median growth towards the typical growth progress there. And the students understand this. Like they talk about, that's my bar and that's my dotted bar. So they understand what typical growth is and what their stretch growth is. And when you have these kids coming down the hallway high-fiving you after their, middle of the year test, saying that, hey, I made it. I made it to this. I made it to my dotted bar. I made it to my, I made my typical growth. It's just exciting to have that encouragement from your kiddos and that recognition. So even though that we grew more, again, 4.25%, the number of students grew from 8 to 15. But still, with that particular population, we actually have students now that are in the green. So that means they are at grade level, and I think we had 2 that moved to at or above grade level. So that's, again, for us, very good news. The next thing is chronic absenteeism, to reduce that by 1%. Attendance for students that have IEPs is 94.08% attendance rate. I want to be honest, the thing that we have the hardest time with parents and with everybody understanding, even when we do like our attendance parties and attendance incentives, is the state measures us based upon, very literally, your butts in the seat. It doesn't matter that you bring a doctor's excuse. It doesn't matter that your parent wrote you a note. Chronic absenteeism is based upon if they miss more than 10% of the instructional days being in the classroom physically. And that's where a lot of our parents, and if they go to our LSIC meetings and those things, that's where there's maybe a disconnect, because they just think, well, if I write them a note, and well, if they were sick, and if they have doctor's excuses, and all of that is true and good. We don't file truancy unless a student has, for example, at least 10 days that are undocumented. But we can have kids who can go, I'm just being honest, they can still go to a MedExpress or to a this or to a that will write them an excuse out for 5 days, and that's 5 days of lost instruction. So we have changed our attendance incentives specifically this year, and we've gotten some pushback to following the overall state idea that you're in the seat. It doesn't matter that you were home with COVID, and we're really sorry that you're going to miss out on that, but we need you to be here, physically here. We haven't gotten a lot of pushback, really we have not, but that is how it's supposed to go.
Tanya, How does that percentage compare to your overall population absenteeism?
It's a
rate?
little bit higher. We're at, I think, 93.6.
So so less students are absent in special ed than the general population.
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I was
But that's
curious.
also, this accounts for the excuses that they turn in. The
Okay.
94% does account.
It
with
does
the
account for
excuses.
excuses. So those
It
are
does.
unexcused absences, that
It does.
5 whatever percent. Okay.
And then our goal number 4, and I think it's interesting that Dr. Shelley had mentioned that their number 1 incident and increase was disruptive, disrespectful behavior, as was ours last year. So in our summer session, we decided that was going to be the key thing to target. Last year, we had a combined 86 incidents for special education students, and so far this year, we're at 43. Our goal was to decrease that by 2%, and we're well on our way. Probably the most exciting thing, Mr. Lester, who's our other assistant principal who does discipline, he came in last week and was just really excited about our level 3. So these are the level 3 behaviors, again, just for special education kiddos, have gone from 72 to 31. That's almost a 57% decrease, and we attribute a lot of that just to having consistent staff. Those of you that know Princeton Middle School, last year and in years past, we have had 16, 17 daily long-term subs that are signing in our building. This year we have 3.
Wow.
That's great.
So
Big
we're all just kind of working together, trying to do all the things. So, and then I wrote just a couple of little extras down there, the things that we're using our CSI funding for. Of course, Miss Deborah Neal, who we share with Dr. Shelley, she comes to work with our students who are alternate assessment kiddos as well as our general assessment kiddos, but still just the special education population. We do meet monthly. We've held 3 Super Saturday trainings, which to me is just an opportunity where you've planned for the whole Saturday to spend your time together. We get to break out into small groups for math and for reading, to talk about the writing, to do the data walls, the data notebooks, and to develop that consistent plan. We do have, and this is like the thing that I'm probably the most excited about, you talked about attendance and what makes kids want to come. We started something brand new this year called Shine Time, and it is where kids it's the one time that they get to pick whose teacher group that they're in. And they do something just fun. Mr. Williams has headed up a volleyball tournament, volleyball Olympics. We have all kinds of different things going on for the kiddos, and it's just an opportunity for them to connect with an adult that otherwise often they don't have. And our Shine Time Day attendance is we don't have a lot of kids absent at all, so that's been an exciting change for us. We are on year 3 for the PBIS program, and we're excited. Like Dr. Shelley had mentioned, it's the same program platform that we are using at Princeton Middle School. One of our social workers runs our store. The kids get to cash in points and get certain items that are delivered to them on Fridays. We just started our we are on the quarterfinals. They end at midnight tonight for our March Madness iReady competition. And then we just started our targeted tutoring for those bubble kids that have an IEP. And that's kind of where we are.
Board members.
Is that targeted tutoring done during the school day or before or after?
It is. It
Okay.
is. Actually, this year, our 3 special education teachers, Mr. Williams, Ms. Hatcher, and Ms. Best, are using their team planning time to target specific students that have IEPs that otherwise may not get that. And then we are also, through some funding provided by Ms. Grosclose, teachers have sold their personal planning time, and we're pulling those kids out of resource. Because what we found at middle school, we've had the before school and after school, but students cannot come.
Yeah.
So this provides an opportunity. And what we do, we pull them out of their resource class, but we only pull them out for like a 15-minute chunk, 20-minute chunk of time. So they get to still go back to that resource. They don't feel punished, but they get to come out and have a very intense, like 1-to-2, 1-to-3 ratio to target a very specific skill.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Tanya, since you're middle school, I can appreciate the incentives and all the things that the primaries do. How do you see those working in middle school? And how do you do that? Because you're a high school teacher, so how do you do that to get the high school kids to want to show up on time, to want to be there, and do those kinds of things, if you're seeing an improvement at the middle school?
Well, if you talk to our children about Green Day, that is their favorite day. They enjoy coming. We called it Green Day at the beginning of the year, and now it's Green Day plus improvements. So, for example, we've already kind of set the tone for next week. We start our end of the year ready assessment for math and reading, and the kids already want to know, are we going to get to have a Green Day again? And for them, that means that they're either testing in green and staying at green, or they should have their high score on this particular assessment.
What's the carrot that you got out there versus the stick?
They want some free time. I'm serious. Middle school kids want to be able to have some time that is theirs. It's almost like a recess. And really, and they love it. Mr. Reinhardt brings his DJ equipment and his 360 photo booth thing, and the kids, PTO can sell concessions, and they just think it's the best thing ever because they earned it. And that's been our big thing too this year, that we have, it hasn't just been like teachers behind closed doors talking about our data. We have not been secretive about it at all. If you ask our kids at Princeton Middle School what we ranked last year on School Digger, they'll tell you we ranked 113th, and we're going to do better this year. They will. I mean, we announce it a lot. Like that's the big thing. Be safe, responsible, respectful. It's your turn to change the world every single day. That's what they hear. So.
Other members? I just want to comment, you presented to us earlier in the year, and you talked about how you focused on each individual child and spoke to them. And something that has stuck with me was when you said, one student said, I really am struggling in reading and I need help. If we don't do that one-on-one, that may never come up. They may never admit that. They're never going to admit it in a group, for sure. But if we're not communicating one-on-one with those students in that kind of situation where they feel secure enough to say that to an adult, I need help, particularly at the middle school. So I want to commend you on that because I didn't get a chance to tell you that when you presented. So what do you attribute the reasons to improvement are?
I would say 150% our staff and working towards a common goal, having people who want to be at Princeton Middle School, who are committed to, they're drinking the Kool-Aid, if you will, like we're all working towards the same common goal, and we all believe in every kid.
Okay. And if you know, what's your percentage of SPED students?
About 24.5%.
Okay.
Never mind, sorry.
So we're
26.2%.
So we're still in that
About
one out of four, about 1 out of 4 kids.
And that guy, and the handout that I gave you, and I'm not going to go into that, but the very last page, it's amazing to see how many of our kiddos are on like the kindergarten level. So, that 3 or more grade level below is very different when you're working with a kiddo that's at kindergarten level. But, when we grow from 5 to 2 of those, that's growth. And that's kind of what we're looking for, just the belief that everybody can grow. Maybe not at the same speed, maybe not as quick, but just that they will continue to grow.
Growth. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you. We're on to Straley.
3 minutes.
20. Tell her 20, make her stress.
Nice try.
You all know I'm not a talker. All right, my name is Ashley Smith, and I'm the principal at Straley School. And with me, I brought Keisha Gibson. She is one of our special ed teachers. I shouldn't say one. She's the only special ed teacher at Straley School. And this is Jamie Sorosky, and he's one of my third grade teachers. We are our CSI team at Straley, just the 3 of us, because we do have so few staff members. As everyone else has said, we're on year 3 as being a CSI school designation because of our special ed population. We too have the same goals as everyone else, so I'm going to go through those quickly. Our very first goal was to implement PBIS. We have started that. We are on year 2. So I feel like we're all in a different place as far as every school However, we have all found the same significant piece of data, that disruptive, disrespectful level 3 conduct that was going into WEVIS. So last year we had around 70 entries, and that was for the entire school, not just special ed. When we were filling out our data, we were only at 14. So we have made a significant dent in that, and we do feel like that is training our teachers on PBIS. We are doing lots and lots and lots of reteaching. Everyone is having the same classroom matrix and school-wide matrix. So we're all on the same page in the consistency with our students, no matter where we're at in the building. Goal number 2 is ELA, so our reading and language arts, and this is only special ed population. And this is just iReady. So for ELA, mid to above grade level, we had 15 students at the beginning of the year. Now we're up to 34. Early on grade level, 29 at the beginning of the year, 32 at middle of the year. And 2 grade levels below beginning of the year, 33, middle of the year, 20, and we want to see that one decrease. And 3 grade levels below, 27 to 16. So we've seen a major improvement with that. Goal number 3 is math, and not as significant, but we are seeing a jump. And mid to above grade level, we were at 6 students, now we're at 14. Early on grade level, 9 at the beginning of the year, and middle of the year, 19. 2 grade levels below, beginning of the year 40, middle of the year 15, and 3 grade levels below, 29, and middle of the year 16. So we're still seeing improvement there. Our attendance, and this is for overall, for the entire school, not just our special education population, we were right below the cutoff at right below 90% last year. So we were striving to get that green on our check cards. So we are now at 94.3 whenever we did fill out this paper. That is with the flu, like Ms. Simpson said. So that kind of gave us a hard hit. But we are definitely seeing a major improvement there, and I feel like that is my social worker who got the 110% club not too long ago for making those parent contacts. Yes, that's something that we've done in the past, but we are meeting with them more often and beating on lots more doors than we have in the past. I had asked Ms. Gibson and Mr. Sorosky to talk about the back page that you guys were given. That is what we have spent our money on and the resources, and what we do feel like is making the impact with our students. And there's no one better in my building to talk about what we're doing in the classroom than them. So I'm going to give them the microphone for just a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so for our PBIS, we purchased 2 things with our CSI money. We purchased MooZoom, and we purchased a program called Wonder Grove Kids. And both of those address social and emotional needs on different levels. The MooZoom is for the higher level, more mature concepts, like for those tween kids. And then the Wonder Grove Kids is for the younger kids, and also what we're using with our special education population. We also purchased a special education aid with part of our CSI money. And so, like Dr. Simpson said, we have additional hands in the classroom, and that has helped tremendously.
Excuse me, some purchases we've made for ELA. One is mystery writing. So if you've heard of like Mystery Science or Mystery Doug, anything like that, they've branched off and now have their own writing series. I can't say that we use it to fidelity by any means, but it offers a lot of extra resources for us and tools, and it gives a whole new kind of spin on how we see it, not just the black and white writing resources that we might see online that the state provides, but really gives a lot of fun stuff for other kids to write about. And then we also purchased Time for Kids. We noticed that this set of text really aligns with a lot of our standards, as well as mimicking the state test. So the prompts that they get for writing and the passages there, some of them even can come from Time for Kids. So we have said, okay, well, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, and we started using those as well.
some of the things that I talked about the last time that we presented with LSIC that we're doing also for English Language Arts is we're continuing using the Orton Gillingham curriculum for the special education population in Hagerty. My personal goal for the special ed population this year was to work on comprehension. And then we did a school-wide professional development with Sarah Graham from Sun Valley. And so I've been implementing that in the special education classroom. And then for math, we purchased Reflex and Frax, and these are both for fluency. And the special education population also uses those as well as the whole school. And then we purchased Touch Math for the special education classroom last year, and it is, it makes math tactile, but it also focuses really heavy on math vocabulary.
And then the last two things aren't necessarily things we purchased, but ways that we have been getting more community members involved. The first thing is getting our third graders involved in this language study through WVU and LinguaCare. So at the beginning of the year, we had probably 20-some grad students from WVU make the trek down to Straley and give our kids an assessment on how well they are listening and then retelling narrative text. And so we don't have that data. Every person I've talked to, teachers, kids, and Ms. Smith, we've all said we want to see what's happened because they came middle of the year and have given them the post-assessment, and they're going to do another one in a couple, well, next month. And so it's been really interesting. We've been able to have 2 times a week to 1 time a week of a very intense oral language activity. And it has been their work when they compose narratives, so that's been very interesting. And then the other one is getting West Virginia State to bring their STEM labs to Straley. So they come once a month and bring different experiences focused around one theme. And so the teachers kind of prep them for that theme by including it into their daily instruction and really just making it a whole unit and a top-notch experience for them.
How many kids are you all sending to Nashville or to Dallas, robotics and stuff?
Just my school, we're sending 1 team. Mercer had 1 team, and Montcalm High had 1 team. I think Dr. Atkins is going to talk about that in just a little while. But we are very excited. We're sending 4 kids to Dallas.
Purest form of STEM. Give them parts and say, here's a problem, fix it.
But I will say this on the topic of robotics, that it was Mercer County, Mercer County, Mercer County, Mercer County. When you listen to the finals in that top 24, Spanishburg, Straley, Mercer, and Oakville, Melrose, and it was that many people commented on that, and that's I think good representation for us.
Board members, questions?
Same question I've asked before. What kind of, is I really helping you with school?
It is. The depth of knowledge that it's giving the kids that opportunity to see that depth of knowledge, and we like the data that we're getting from it. That was one thing that I don't know that I heard many people touch on, but to be able to pull every standard, state standard out and be able to focus, you know, on the ones that we know that we're lacking or that we haven't gotten to yet, that has been a great tool for us to be able to use.
You know, when I look at this, it seems like it'd be pretty regimented for kids. And I was wondering, I did hear maybe at least one comment, but maybe get some pushback from the kids. Do something, yeah. And I don't know, this is for everyone. If you experience that, more so from the kids, how would you combat to actually sit them down and taking that? Have any ideas on that?
So one thing that one of our 5th grade teachers have kind of put up on Miss Melanie Meacham has been holding the kids accountable by using like a notebook to write down what they're learning during those times. And so that way, if they don't have any feedback for them, you know, there can be rewards and there can be consequences for not having those. But also sometimes it's a misunderstanding of not knowing it. So I know she gave the example of one of her kiddos was struggling with like word parts and understanding a prefix. And so she was like, well, okay, wait a second, let's look at it. And then they were able to have a reteach moment right then and there. And then it's there forever, so they can refer back to it if they come across it again or in a text.
It just seems like some of our kids wouldn't like it. I guess that's the easiest way of putting it.
I think that we have lots of incentives for our students. We have, for instance, it's still up, a big mug of hot chocolate out on the wall, and the kids go and they color in every lesson that they finish. When the class fills in that mug of hot chocolate, they get a hot chocolate party. I know with Princeton Middle School's March Madness, my daughter on the way to robotics wanted my hotspot turned on so she could finish some already lessons for Miss Cutlip's class. So I feel like we're finding ways that, I think all of us are finding ways to keep them incentivized to complete their already lessons.
And I guess really one of the best traits of a good teacher and a good principal is the ability to steal. If you hear something, be sure to share it with each other. If you have problems, steal or borrow. Usually you borrow, you give it back.
We share.
Share, okay. Thank you. Last year when Mr. Atkins did the presentation on iReady, I became a believer, especially when I saw grade levels that can show you how far behind an individual student is. And I know that you all are charged with teaching the curriculum to start here in August and be here in May, sorry. But when you've got kids that are 2 and 3 grade levels in math or English behind, and they're a 5th grade student, and they're performing at a 2nd or 3rd grade level. The only thing I don't, well, not the only thing, but one of the things I learned that I'm not in agreement with the iReady is you all use that resource for X number of minutes every week. And Ms. Gross was the one that said she watches it like a hawk, and if you're not up to your minutes, you're going to get a stern talking to. Or as my mother used to say, a shamey finger. Well, I've always been an ask for forgiveness versus permission. Why can't we do something for these kids that are 2 to 4 grade levels behind and kind of set them off to the side and lack of a better word, give them more time with iReady to let them get the skills that they need to go from 2 grades behind to 1 grade behind? Why is that not allowed?
The iReady program's research doesn't support that. They have had millions of kids.
Really?
That once you get beyond that 45, 49 minutes a week, it does not help.
Well,
They've done the research.
And I'll go back to, honestly, this to me is just a tool. That's really a teacher, that's where our teachers come in. If the iReady to me, and you all correct me because you're all the one using it, it kind of points out the deficiencies. Then the teacher's the one, yeah, it's up to the teachers to, is that right?
They do back up and teach those missing.
Right.
Does that make sense? Of course, but.
Yeah,
that's just
but
based
if
on
you've
their
got
research.
if you've got a 9th grade kid that's in algebra and he can't even do basic multiplication, how are you going to help that kid?
That's a teacher thing.
I think we had the discussion today in our meeting as well that, the personal pathways are very important because it identifies that deficiency and then it puts the kid on their own pathway. But then that's when we also need those teachers to step in with their small groups and working more with the children as well. So, they're getting the iReady pathways, but they're getting that small group time with the teachers to, work on that deficiency too. So it's really hand in hand. It's not one program or,
I know I've said this a lot on my 5th year being on the board. I'm not a teacher. I don't understand these things until I say something stupid, and then you all encourage me and educate me. So it's good to know these things to make sure that you all are well aware of it. And obviously, the 4 of you that have shown your improvement results are doing the right thing. And I'm sure the other schools around the county are doing these same things. But it's just beyond me how we're still, I think the state with their legislature in their infinite wisdom using creating the K-3 program. But I said at that time, in my opinion, they've abandoned secondary schools. But it's obvious from hearing Tanya talk, that's not necessarily true. So we've got the resources. You've got Mastery Prep now for the high school. I like some of the questions because I see a lot of apathy with the kids. You know, they don't want to do it, so they just aren't, and you can't make them. But I don't know. I just want everybody to thrive. And we identify too that there's a lot of children, a lot of students that they hate being in school. But they're getting close to the 10th grade, 11th grade, and we've got to help them, because I think as my job as a board member, we've got to provide any and every opportunity for these students when they leave the 12th grade that they've got a pathway, whether it be at McTech or whatever it might be. That's what we've got to do. So, and it's encouraging to hear you all feel comfortable with the direction that we're taking. So thank you for all your hard work. Or as we say to everybody else, thank you for your service.
Other members?
Ashley, I just have one quick question. I was excited to hear about the programs you have going with the universities. Are those programs that you reached out to create, or did the schools approach you, or how did those come about?
Vicki Pullins from LinguaCare is who our speech is contracted through, and she brought them to us. They were having trouble finding schools in the state that would welcome them in to do that. And it was something that we had talked about for a couple of years. And then even beyond what we're doing in the classroom, our students were given the opportunity to participate at home online, and they actually paid the students through gift cards to participate in their study. And we're really seeing some good things coming out of it. So I don't mind to come back and share that data once we get it in April. But it's funny to see 20-some grad students coming down your front sidewalk.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Before 8 o'clock in the morning, and then working with all 60-some third graders that we have in one day. And as far as the STEM things, that's open to anybody. So it's someone that we do have a contact with there, but I know a couple of other schools have had them come. I don't know that they are going as much as they're coming to our school, where we, I think, started out being the first school in the county this year. So they got us on our schedule pretty early.
That's awesome. Thank you.
What's your SPED population?
I'm sorry.
What's the percentage of your SPED population?
Last I checked, it was 28, but we've had a couple of new students enroll since then.
So you're getting close to 3 out of 10.
We are.
No. Okay. What do you attribute the improvement to?
Like someone else said, these guys sitting right here, my staff being on board, Keisha will tell you that I think having the additional help in her room this year has been a tremendous help. And we're slowly figuring out how we can reach those special ed students. The things that we purchased and that they talked about, those are things that I purchased for 3 years. So it's hopefully that we can continue that on. It's not something that's going to run out this year, because hopefully we're not a CSI school anymore. So we're crossing our fingers that we can continue on just that good trajectory where we're at.
Thank you. In answer to your question, Jim, about how do we deal with those kids, if the government, and she just pointed it out, and so did everybody else, if the government would give us more money for interventionists to deal with those kids and more one-on-one, we could solve those problems. It's really hard to solve that problem in a classroom of 25. It's a whole lot easier when you can do it with 4. And you hear them describe, why are we succeeding? Well, we have an interventionist. Oh, we have an extra teacher. Oh, we funded our own teacher. Bodies matter, and it just proves again that it's the relationship between the teacher and the student, and that interaction where the bulb goes off finally, and the kid figures out, well, this person actually cares about me a little bit, so maybe I'll react to them positively. Those things all matter, and if you don't have the bodies, if you keep getting bigger classrooms bigger classrooms, which is what's happening, it has a negative impact. But Charleston and Washington don't want to listen, so we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Dr. Atkins, when do we find out of the CSI status of schools for this year?
I'm not sure when we'll find out about the finals, which Sarah, I think, said April. Yeah.
Okay. So before the end of the school year?
And then with the last round, year 4, there is a year 4, they call it the year of sustainability, but with the progress they've made, that's what, but I don't know exactly when we'll do that.
So there will be a year 4 regardless, or?
That's what the last round was, and I can't say for sure that's what they'll do with this one.
Okay.
Well, I think what we've learned this evening from all these schools is that we're on a glide path that's going up. We're improving significantly. We're using innovation and the best practices. We're doing everything we can think of and then some. And you're all to be commended for doing that extra, and we appreciate it. And if there are no other questions by the board?
I just, sometimes you say, how did you get here? Well, I think it's pretty obvious with we're still reaping what we've sowed during COVID, and our children are. So basically, you all are undoing the damage, and that's what I appreciate. And I knew, I retired right when COVID happened, and I told several educators, I feel for you. And I said, not now, but when we get back, because I knew we'd be back, because you can't lose that much social instruction, being together without having setbacks. So the improvement is great, and I appreciate the efforts, because it's an effort.
Yeah, it is. All right, thanks, everybody.
Great job, guys.
We're going to take a 10-minute recess. We're going to reconvene at 6:30.
Good. I got a leave. Please.
Good, yeah.
Always out there talking to somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everybody. We had to start our meeting a little early this evening. We had some LSIC presentations with schools, as you may
Sure,
have
same
seen.
thing.
And so we've already had our pledge, so we're going to move into board recognitions, our favorite part always in board meetings.
Okay, thank you, President Prudich. As he said, it is our favorite part of any board meeting is when we get the opportunity to have board recognizes for staff, students, or community members. Our first board recognized is a 110% club. Ms. Savannah Holt, English learner teacher itinerant, is nominated by Ms. Amanda Aleb, coordinator of pupil services, for the 110% club for always going above and beyond and ensuring that our English language learner students receive the support they need to succeed both academically and personally. Savannah works tirelessly to ensure the EL students are not only supported in their language acquisition, but they are also thriving in every aspect of their school experience. She has formed meaningful connections with EL families, ensuring they feel heard and valued. Additionally, Savannah takes the initiative to offer one-on-one professional development to teachers, helping them effectively implement EL plans and strategies in their classrooms. Her dedication to the success of EL students is evident in everything she does. Savannah is an incredibly welcoming and supportive representative for Mercer County Schools, especially for families who may be new or unfamiliar with the system. She goes out of her way to make families feel at ease and empowered, ensuring they know the school is there to support them. Whether it is assisting with English language acquisition, guiding parents through enrollment processes, offering academic support, or helping resolve issues related to discipline, Savannah is always available and approachable. Her commitment to fairness and her constant advocacy for the students make her a trusted figure among families, ensuring they have a strong ally in the school community. Savannah's impact on students, the school, and the community is immeasurable. She is a steadfast advocate for every student's well-being, ensuring they have someone to turn to when they need support. She fosters an environment of fairness and tolerance within our schools, helping to make it a better place for all. Her efforts extend beyond the school walls, positively affecting the broader community by helping families who feel isolated or disconnected become active members of the school community. Through her work, Savannah with families trust Savannah and by extension the schools, knowing they have valued partners in their child's education. Ms. Savannah Holt, English language learner teacher itinerant.
So, on behalf of Mercer County Schools, I don't know if I can say much more than that. But obviously what you're doing is very special and meaningful to our community. It's important to the people that may not be sure what's going on in the world and how do I deal with all this craziness through this Mercer County Public Schools. And you're helping them get through it, and that's so very important to each and every one of our children. And for that, we want to thank you so very much. Everybody?
Our next 110% club nominees, Mr. William Taylor, bus operator for the Transportation Department, is nominated by Amber Dillo, Secretary at the Transportation Department, for always being willing to help. Mr. Taylor has regular McTech runs all day, but he also takes numerous trips, taking students to sporting events or field trips. Mr. Taylor's bus is always safe, neat, and clean. Mr. Taylor helps the other drivers with routes and route changes. He works with the paint crew in the summer and does a great job taking care of the lawn work at the Transportation Department. Mr. William Taylor, bus operator.
Opportunity to embarrass you before. So Gene Bailey always used to say the hardest job in public schools is getting kids to the buildings and taking them back home. Right. And just an observation growing up, I remember how difficult it could be for the bus operators because they were stopping the bus a lot and getting up and telling us to sit down. Don't do that, quit, and we appreciate the managing our kids, bringing them to school safe, getting them home safe, and all those little extra things you do. And we wish we could do more. We tell our legislators every year to give you more money, and they ignore us every year, but we're going to keep telling them, because we wish we could do more for you, but we wanted to thank you. All right. Thank you.
Our next 110% club nominee is Miss Diana Eller, bus operator for the Transportation Department, is nominated by Amber Dillo, secretary at the Transportation Department, for always being willing to help outside of her regular job duties. Diana has 4 McTech runs every day, taking students from Bluefield High School to McTech for their classes and then returning them to Bluefield High School. She takes numerous extra trips for Mercer County students so they can play sports and have field trips. Diana always helps others, especially the new recruits, with routes, directions on when and where to pick up the McTech students, and school parking as needed. During the summer, Diana is on the paint crew for the Board of Education and did an excellent job painting the transportation buildings and rooms. Diana is fun to work with, and she keeps the Transportation Department fed with her amazing pepperoni and cheese rolls and her banana pudding. Thanks for all your hard work, Miss Diana Eller, bus operator.
So, again, I want to thank you for doing all the things. And I heard him say you do the extra trips too, which, when you see a bus sitting there and it's 11:30 at night and then, they gotta go back and then get up the next morning and go, you're doing an awful lot to help our kids. And it's meaningful. Those trips are important to those children, and you're obviously taking good care of them, getting them to and from, and we really appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Our next 110% club is Miss Jill Roy, Substitute Secretary at the Maintenance Department, is nominated by Tom Atkins, Director of Maintenance, for consistently going above and beyond to contribute wherever she can. She willingly steps in to help, taking on tasks that many others may overlook, such as organizing our blueprints room and answering phone calls with a pleasant attitude, a tedious job that has been put off by many. Jill brings a positive attitude and contagious smile to work every day, uplifting those around her. Her dedication, work ethic, and willingness to take initiative to make a meaningful impact on our team. It is always a joy to see her each morning, and we are truly grateful to have her as part of Mercer County Schools. The Maintenance Department appreciates all that she does and is lucky to work alongside her. Ms. Jill Roy, Substitute Secretary.
So we really appreciate you coming in and helping when we need you, and being a great joy with this crew that you got to deal with. Bless you on that. But it's nice that you're willing to help us, because we so desperately need your help. And it's nice to have people that want to do it and are there and invested in helping us. Thank you.
Our next 110% club is Nick Johnson of the Technology Department of Mercer County Schools. He's being nominated by Dr. Ashley Vaughn for going above and beyond and helping with all technology issues that students and staff may have. Nick is diligent in responding to emails and phone calls. He finds the problems for students and staff with any technology issues they may be having. Nick takes the time to research potential causes if he does not have the immediate fix. He has assisted in preparing laptops for virtual students, making repairs on virtual students' devices, copier issues at the central office, staff device issues, and software access. Nick works well with parents and staff members. He exhibits excellent customer service skills to both sides of our system, with parents and with virtual teachers from proximity, emailing Dr. Vaughn about his positive demeanor and prompt assistance in addressing technology issues. For our students and staff, technology is key to their work and access to materials. Nick's work ensures staff and students are able to regain function in a timely manner. Thank you so much, Nick. Nick Johnson from the Technology Department.
Well, it's about time we recognize somebody from IT. We can't operate our system without IT, and we all know that. So we've been a little lagging on giving you guys a thank you and a heads up, and appreciate it. What you guys do is invaluable to everything we do. You shut down IT, and it's like any business. We're going home because we can't do anything. We appreciate all the effort that you're putting in. It makes it, you've got a good crew to work with, well, some of them. And your boss is all right, and it's interesting work, and I'm sure that you like working with the kids and we do appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next 110% club is Ms. Heather White, school nurse for Mercer County Schools. She is nominated by Amanda Aliff, Coordinator of Pupil Services, for the 110% club for always going above and beyond in her role as a school nurse. Heather is deeply committed to the health and safety of students and staff. She tirelessly ensures that health care plans are not only comprehensive, but also that teachers feel supported and well prepared when managing students' medical needs. Her professionalism, dedication, and advocacy for school health service makes her a respected and valued leader within the district. If she hits an obstacle, she finds ways around it or over it when it relates to caring for students in Mercer County schools. The health and welfare of our students are in good hands with Heather. She fights for laws that ensure the appropriate care for her students and has a wealth of knowledge and information to share with the public related to school public health. She is an advocate for our kids and a trusted resource for parents when they need guidance. She has successfully written 2 grants this year totaling $16,557 to fund Stop the Bleed kits, ensuring Mercer County students now have over 300 kits available. Her dedication does not stop there. She is actively working to equip every classroom in the county with these life-saving resources. Heather's care extends far beyond the walls of our schools. During recent flooding, she was out in the community checking on students and families and personally delivering flood buckets to those in need. Just last week, she delivered Bomba socks to Pikeview Middle School and Pikeview High School to help stock their clothes closets for students in need. Nurse Heather always puts students and their well-being first, ensuring they have what they need in and out of school. Thank you, Nurse Heather. Ms. Heather White, school nurse.
This kind of falls in again, that it's about time we recognize nurses for all the things you do in our school, because you do so much every day for every child. You help the staff and you troubleshoot and deal with issues and deal with parents that are upset about something, and you got to deal with all those issues every day, all the time. And you do it when you probably could be making more money in the private industry. And we appreciate the fact that you're willing to give your life to the kids. It means so much. Thank you.
Our next board recognizes is an award for Certificates of Achievement West Virginia All-State Choir participants. First, from Bluefield High School, we have Arabella Brown and Michaelin Shoemate. Did I guess right? McKaylin Shoemate. They with us? No, not with us. Thank you. Arabella Brown and McKaylin Shoemate. Also, certificates of achievement for West Virginia All-State Choir participants from Pikeview High School. We have Alyssa Richardson, Ava Green, Carly Spade, and Aiden O'Quinn.
Anyone here? Well, I have to admit, I'm just a little disappointed because we love to tout our arts program, because how wonderful the kids are, and they do so well, and she's so great.
Our next award, Certificate of Achievement for West Virginia Middle School All-State Band from Glenwood School, Ya Afra Burka.
About 3 years. You enjoy it? You like the art? Are you interested in going on? We need you in high school. We want you on the band, right? Okay, you keep doing it, all right? You keep doing it. All right, thank you.
Our next Certificate of Achievement is 2025 West Virginia Wrestling State Champion from Princeton Senior High School, Claire Holt.
And for those of you who don't know, there's a difference between wrestling and wrestling. Wrestling is what The Rock does, and it's fun to watch, and it's a little athletic, but we all know it's not real. Wrestling is what she does, and it is extraordinarily difficult. It's exhausting to watch, so I know it's exhausting to do. They go hard at it for 3 minutes?
6 minutes.
Six, oh my God. I'd stroke out right there on the floor. So you enjoy it?
Oh, yes, sir.
How many years have you been doing it?
Only since I was a freshman.
Okay, so you go out and get the programs now? We didn't used to have wrestling in Mercer County.
I didn't know.
Well, you didn't. You are glad we have it. So that's another reason why we like to have this program. It allows someone to excel in the field. Is this something you want to go on into college with?
I've had plenty of offers, but I think I've achieved what I wanted to achieve.
Well, there you go. It's like a job in college. It's not just doing it like you. Well, we are so proud of you, and congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
And that concludes our board recognizes.
I tried.
I know, but
Greg loves wrestling. And I'm forced to watch it a lot.
You need to take him.
I'm going to take him to
I did a lot with Cam.
I'm going to take him to a big event. He loves wrestling.
I did that.
We've got a boy that played football for us here, Jeff James, and he's into wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling.
We took Tristan
But
Campbell.
they've had some matches out at the mall inside. They got the ring in there. And people go nuts.
Gray was telling me all about it. He said, Papa, why didn't we go? I said, I didn't do nothing about it. You got to call me and tell me. One of his friends got an autograph with a WWE wrestler. He was just so excited. I said, well, that's awesome, but hey, that's not on me. You've got to call me and let me know in advance.
Speaker, you on, you good? You ready?
All right, we'll just wait till everybody clears out a little bit so it quiets down some, and we'll get going on our regular meeting.
Extra trip remind me of when I drove Ernie and the football team to Bath County. They didn't, I was a high school coaches drove buses in.
I remember.
And they couldn't get a bus driver. So at the last minute, they told me, would you take us? We got home about 3, we had somebody had to go to the hospital. Got home about 3 o'clock in the morning. I stopped in Lewisburg and got out of the bus and ran up and down a little bit to wake myself up.
Oh, God.
You got to do what you got
Did
to
you
do,
go to work
right?
the next morning, or is that a Friday night?
I think I
My
can
little
find
update, and that's it. We're ready to go.
Yeah. Okay, so next on the agenda is the superintendent's update.
So President Pruitt, I just wanted to share with the board, and I shared with my leadership team, but again, this was out in 2022-23. It's the reference guide for county support, accountability, recognition, and accreditation. And there's things about board members can ask about LSICs, all those things from personnel to child nutrition to facilities to finance, all those things that they look at and where they score from the transportation department and all that. And I just want to share that back out with you that let you know. And there's not a new one updated yet. I did ask that to Jeff Kelly with the Office of Accountability, but wanted to share that with you. Also tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Chuck Mathena Center, we have the Service Personnel of the Year banquet is tomorrow. Also Wednesday at 9 o'clock, we have a training of purpose-driven management at the central office. It's a central office training. They'll be here at the Seminar Center by Mike McClanahan.
And we're attending that as well,
I
right?
believe you are.
We are welcome to attend if we want to.
Okay.
And anything else, Mr. Pruitt, on that? Sent out an email out again today, a reminder, we'll do another one tomorrow, so we'll just keep that updated. But we've got about, 31 staff members attending, I think, off the top of my head. Yeah, so something there, so good. Also, any update, Mr. Atkins, on Timberwood Elementary and anything on any of the flooding or any updates from your following up on that? You got me on a Sunday night update the other day, right? Instead
Well,
of
you always try to beat me on Monday mornings. So
No, you're good.
I went a day ahead.
You're good.
Currently, Empire Salvage is working for an asbestos abatement at Spanishburg. It's a large abatement. You touched on 2322, but it is kind of a family and community partnership there. They are Lusk Sanitation. They do our garbage disposal. They're doing this asbestos abatement. And one of the things that Ms. Booth and I have been talking with the community along with Dr. Adkins, is just getting the good, positive information out. Here's what we're doing, here's where we are, here's our progress, here's our end goal. So we're just trying to answer any questions. A lot of people get scared when they hear the word asbestos. I'm just trying to give Ms. Booth the facts so that she can explain to the parents, and then when they need additional information, I'm giving that information to them as well. I've talked to several families, and all feel at ease after we explain how the West Virginia EPA's already been down. They've given us a great thumbs up on everything that Empire's doing. Empire's working with negative air to get all air out of the building and through HEPA filters and do all the things they can to take care of the students and staff there. However, Timberwood had a meeting today. Things are going well. One of the big takeaways that I figured you all would want to hear this evening was we were asked what's the percentage of the completion of how much of the project's been done, and they said 83%. So we're installing bathroom fixtures. I'm sure you saw the photos. Lots of things. And again, 23-22, that's a positive, safe environment. And we're going to have a beautiful state-of-the-art facility especially for these two schools that are, for lack of a better term, dilapidated. And they're going to be in that safe, positive environment so that they can learn and flourish and become as academically successful as they can be. So, I'll just continue to send the updates for Timberwood, but things are going well. We are going to have another meeting. I mentioned last time about the little slippage on the back of the hill. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow just to discuss how we're going to tackle that. We have a couple options, none of which are cheap, but at the end of the day, we don't want to be dealing with it 5-10 years down the road. So there will be some information and some change orders coming on that.
Where are we on insurance coverage? Have you heard anything on that?
The last Leslie heard, we're still waiting to hear back from the adjuster. When he left, he said it could be up to 4 weeks, and I think we're about 3 weeks now. We haven't heard any information back.
Are we going to try to do anything with the federal government on remediating? I mean, short of building a wall around Spanishburg, I'm not sure there's a whole lot we can do. But I've seen them put firm walls around schools before too.
Sure.
So,
Honestly, we're not that far yet.
Okay.
I think it's definitely been a discussion that Dr. Adkins and Leslie and I have tiptoed in, but we haven't jumped right in yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Tom, when they finish Timberwood and we're ready to move in, we move out of the schools, what is the course of action that will take place, like at Brush Fork, since we've got those buildings we're spending a fortune on that don't belong to us? How quickly do you see being able to get our stuff out so it can be on their dime instead of ours?
Sure. Leslie sent them an email the other day. I was included in the email. Just told them we're not going to be renewing the lease for next school year. Then once we give them the okay, then they'll be coming and pulling their modular. That'll be our first thing, is get our property out of it so that they can come get theirs. And then, then we'll go through the process of auction or demolition or whatever.
Whatever decide what we're going to do with the school buildings, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. That's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, there doesn't appear to be any citizens input, so we're up to policy 2322.
Ms. Mitchell?
Could we get that thing in a football?
We can learn if we have skills, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing that I want to talk about tonight is our mastery prep. And, this is the new year for it, and we've had some pushback from students, we've had some pushback from teachers, but as the year has progressed and they have found that it's here to stay and not something that's a choice, we've got more and more on board with it, and we are showing some very, very small steps of improvement, but there is improvement. But the biggest thing that we've done recently is we had boot camps last week, and we brought in a representative from Texas from the company, and it was just perfect. He was this real young guy, and the kids could really relate to him, and each school had a day of boot camp. And so all but Montcalm actually came here to the seminar center and did their boot camp day here. They were here from like 8:30 until the end of the day. Montcalm we were able to do at Montcalm, so they did theirs down there. But it was really, it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening to teachers and administrators, and definitely students and parents. Every kid was given like a workbook. And throughout that day, they went through all these different activities and different ways to strategize, test questions, and how they needed to get their thinking cap on, because all these answers look right. You know, it's not one of those things when you're taking the SAT that 2 of them you can just get rid of right away, and then there's 2 you look at. There's like 4 that are all possible good answers. And so with boot camp, they played some games, they did some activities, they worked in the notebook, they worked on computers, and learned how to manage working on the computer, taking those tests, because they are timed, and depending on where they are with the test, some parts they could go back to and some they couldn't. So it's just a great eye-opener for all of them, and so we really enjoyed that. The other thing that's going on right now for us is that we're trying to help with are the pet nights at the high school, and trying to give some guidance for the upcoming, especially seniors, but juniors and seniors, as far as the dual credit and AP classes and what's going to be available for them. And to be perfectly honest, I'm going to start visiting some schools, because we want to make sure that our own employees, the employees that we have, are sharing the right data with these folks and sharing the right information, because we want to give all these schools that have signed up with us for dual credit, we want to give them credit. We've got New River and Bluefield State, Marshall, and WVU, and they're giving us what we need, and we need to make sure we're giving back to them. They're helping us, so we need to help them and let these kids know that it's okay to take classes from any of these schools, and that, you know, they are rigorous enough that they meet the college standards, and that we're being held accountable for it. The teachers are being evaluated on it. The colleges are coming in and seeing what we're doing, and we're going to them and seeing what they're doing. So it's putting accountability on everybody. The other thing that right now we're really looking at is from the middle of the year test that they took, anybody that falls within that bubble group or a move-up group, we had some letters that were sent out earlier in the year to let them know that they were in that group and how 1 or 2 questions could make a difference for them. Now that we've had boot camps, we're going to do letters to send to say, hey, your child attended boot camp on such and such day, and they have a notebook in their possession that they can bring home, and you all can talk about, go over. It tells them some different places to go online and practice. So we're trying to get the parents involved so that they too will have some accountability in
How
what's
will
going
those
on.
letters go out?
The principals are sending them.
Like in the mail?
It's kind of a template type letter. It's not anything, I mean, it is addressed personally to the parent about that child, but it's a form letter on
That's
everything
going
else.
in the mail.
But it'll go in the mail.
Not sent home with it.
No, it'll go home, it'll go in the mail, and that's what we did before the middle of the year testing. Other than that, right now, we were supposed to have a cell phone committee meeting this week, but I learned that the legislators have not yet made their decision on what they're going to do as far as from the state standpoint. Our next meeting is our last meeting. That's when we were pulling it all together to be able to give you guys what we would like to propose. And with not knowing where the state's going to be, and we know they're going to be the basis of what we do, we think it's better to wait. Danielle and I have been talking today. She spent the whole day in Charleston, just got back. So we will be getting together once we have some information on that. And this, I don't guess, really has to do with the accountability part, but it will as far as how it affects our county, and that is Danielle has some information on where we are with the ACE funding and the adult program and community colleges from today's meeting. So it's pretty much where we are right now with secondary.
I have a question real quick. I noticed Concord's not involved. Did they refuse to help, or you didn't ask, or what?
Concord, you know, we still talk to Concord, and actually, I have talked several times to one of the people that's on the Board of Governors over there. But we're no closer as far as they still want our kids to come there on their campus and take the classes. And now they are accepting the credits. They accept the credits. We have one young lady right now who will graduate in May who has, and I don't know the exact number of credits, Danielle could probably tell you that, but enough hours that she's going to start Concord in the fall as a junior in the nursing program, and I think she only has to go 18 months and she'll have her BSN in nursing. She'll be an RN. So they are accepting everything, but they're not willing to let our kids take the classes here from Concord. They want them to come on campus.
As a member of the Alumni Association Board of Directors of Concord, I've attended 2 of the finalists for Concord President, and in the interviews, I asked both of them about working with schools and dual credit. They sounded like both of them to be very welcome. The third one is tonight, and I didn't get a chance to talk to her. But
Well, that's exciting, though. That is exciting, and maybe, you know, if we can get the right people on board with us to see what we're doing, I think they'll do it.
I even told one that we some people thought Concord were kind of snobbish, but
Well, we
I didn't
just
tell
want
the
them
other
to
one
do what everybody else is doing. And so in the fall, we're starting a new program here at the Tech Center. It'll be cybersecurity, and that's going to be from Marshall. So, I mean, you know, these colleges are getting on board with us, and we're on board with them. We would like for Concord to be more involved. But they are accepting the credits. We are not having that problem.
Yeah, the Marshall president spoke at our last board conference, and he said cybersecurity was one of the areas that he was emphasizing because there was such a need.
And I'm not making an announcement, but there have been initial conversations about aviation through CTE.
That's not bad.
And Marshall's
That's the
pushing
other
that
area. That's
too,
the
right?
other
And
area
he's
that-
pushing that too. So we'll see. We're hopeful.
got an empty airport.
Well, it's flight and mechanic repair.
We got a couple of kids, it's been several years ago now, they moved in here they had moved to Marshall County from another state, and they had been in an aviation program. When they came into air engineering, because that was the closest thing we had. But, you know, the more we can offer, the better it is. It gives more kids an opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, what's up? We done? Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Atkins.
I was just going to, wanted to share a little bit more information Mr. Belcher alluded to earlier about our robotics achievements at the state level. As you all know, last weekend, our grades 3 through 8 teams that qualified to participate in the state tournament in Fairmont did very well. And, you know, we do have, in our opinion, the leading program in the state of West Virginia. I think the only competition we would have, and that's Kanawha County, which is a much larger district. But we and the board has really placed an emphasis on the resources and materials they need to have the best program. And, you know, I looked at the pictures they sent to me, and I told Derek and Ashley and Kelly earlier that I think that what we have really prepares those students to participate and to compete on the state and national level, because, you know, they're seeing and experiencing those things. You know, it's kind of like with a basketball program going to Charleston, you know, you need some time practicing in an arena-style atmosphere to know what that's like. And these kids are getting that. And we're super proud, Montcalm High School, that of course would be our 7th and 8th graders, they did qualify for Worlds. Their teamwork state championship is their qualifying award that allows them to go to Worlds in Dallas. But they also were skills state champion, and they won the design award. And Derek can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the same team that won all 3 of those recognitions. I remember at one of our events here at Princeton High School, Mr. Bruce alluding to what a great job they did with their notebook and with that components of it. And, you know, it sounds like it really, really paid off. The design award, Derek has given me a little bit of information here. You know, it's all about the engineering notebook rubric, the engineering design process, the interview, the ability to explain the robot design and their gaming strategy. You know, it's all about design thinking. You know, Greg said earlier, this is STEM at its core. We have a huge, huge emphasis on STEM in our district. We're seeing that play out. You know, we have our designation. It was kind of, you get that, and then now what? But our schools are embracing using the Jason Learning Platform, using all these STEM initiatives, whether it's, you know, Ashley had West Virginia State coming in through all of the robotics opportunities. It's giving kids that design thinking opportunity, the critical thinking piece, and that's what robotics is really about. Mercer Elementary also has a team that qualified to go to Worlds. Teamwork State Champions is the recognition that qualified them for that. Again, that goes back to, I don't have that, I think that's self-explanatory, Derek, I'm correct, that the Teamwork State Championship. Is he here, is he back there? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Give me an amen, Derek. And then they also, Mercer Elementary had a Build Award and a Create Award, but I think these were different teams that won these recognitions. The Build Award had durable, based on durable construction, reliability on the field, attention to safety and detail, teamwork, working together, effective communication, a big component of what robotics is all about. And then Straley had the same team won the skills, they were the skills state champion, and then they won the Innovate Award, which was their qualifying award that allows them to go to Worlds. And that, again, is very much based on the judging of the design thinking process, and very difficult to achieve that. I think it's also important to know one final thing, that the state of West Virginia had 8 spots at Worlds, and Mercer County Schools has 3 of those 8 spots.
That's awesome.
2 from elementary and then 1 from the middle school students at Montcalm High School. So just super proud of, you know, these accomplishments don't come by luck. You know, they don't come by chance. They come by an investment in the equipment, the material supplies, and then just a group of people that really care about STEM and doing things differently and getting results. And I really believe that that's bleeding over into that growth you're seeing in ELA and math on the test scores. You know, we don't teach tests, but those tests measure what we teach. And we're really seeing a difference. And this is allowing children that may have not had an opportunity to be a member of something or be a part of something before. We have a diverse, I encourage anyone that's not seen the kids involved, it's so encouraging. So just really proud of that. Mr. Belcher, if I left something out, you can come and get the microphone, please.
You know it all.
Oh, thank you.
So just, I've been with this from the very beginning because it was so interesting to me, and they wanted a judge, and so I became a judge, and I judged, and then they said we need a judge advisor, which is the person that kind of monitors the judges and manages the process, and so I did that. And the evolution of the program, I can't tell you how impressive it is to see how things have changed from year one, not just in the administration of the program, which has been incredible. When you go to it, it's high tech, and it's just amazing to watch. Everything's on big screens, you see all the data before you. As you're sitting there, you know where your team scored. But watching the students, more than anything, the first year sold me, but as it's evolved, it's a program that is essential now in my mind. And why is that? Well, so you take a team from Mercer, and they go up there, and it's their job to do what they need to do to get scored. But they don't get to team with another team from Mercer. They got a random team that comes up there with them. They have to solve the problem on the battlefield, for lack of a better word, with that other team in a minute. And you see them confabbing before they start, you know, talking about what they're going to do. And then you watch them as their robots do things, because both of them get the score from that. So if you have a great team, if you've got a great duo or a quad, I guess, and they're doing a great job, the other team's not, that's the score you get. You don't get a great score. So watching them work together is amazing. Watching them help someone when their robot breaks. Watching another student go, let me help you with that. Just amazing to watch. But the biggest thing is the notebooks. So the notebooks, and keep in mind that the basic rule with this is it's all student-led. Adults are hands-off. They're there to guide, they're there to answer questions, but they don't build the robot, they don't design the robot, they don't write about the robot, they don't fix the robot. They're there to guide. And then the notebook is the design notebook, there's no way to describe it, but this is what we did and this is how we did it. First year, the notebook would go, we met on March the 30th, the names of the people, and it would go, we built a robot. Then the next it'd skip a week and they'd go, we tried out the robot, it broke, we fixed it and tried again. To this year, table of contents, bio on each person that's on the team. I kid you not, bios. I go to school here, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, blah, blah, blah. And then they go through the table of contents. We met on March the 3rd and discussed the problem that we were offered. And we took our pieces and we decided this is the approach we were going to take. And then there'll be drawings of what they did. Next page, we tried our first robot, it broke, it's not going to work, here's why, we're going to change this. And it's this, you look at some of these and you're like, did an engineer do this notebook? And you're talking about 5th graders or middle schoolers. and you're asking yourself, wow, how did they do this? And it's about teamwork, Paul, it's about problem solving. I know that one's a big one for you. Because the problem this year, man, it was far harder than it should have been in my mind. It was a challenge, and they met the challenge is what's great about it. They actually figured it out, and they figured ways to do it. So you'll go in there and you'll see 8, 10 different versions of a robot trying to do the same thing. And some of them will work and some of them won't. And some of it's hilarious. So last year in particular, I remember there was an arm. And it got widgety and went sideways. And it stopped working. And the kid just reaches down and pops it off. And continued on. And still scored. It was amazing to watch. And it's all children. I see kids there that I know are athletes, and I see kids there I know are special needs, and I see kids there that I know really don't have any kind of lane to fit into. Working together, talking, and then they have to be interviewed, and it's amazing to watch. And yeah, I seem fired up about it because I am, because this is the kind of thing that you can see results from. You can see children, they're devoted to it. It's like an athletic event. When they get a bad score, you don't have to look at the scoreboard. All you got to look at the kid's face. When they get a good score, you don't have to look at the scoreboard. All you got to do is look at the kid's face. And they're working hard, and it is a great STEM program. And we need to continue to push it. We've got to figure out a way to get our high school students engaged and involved in it. Maybe the way to do that is with drones, because there is a drone component to this. And drones are kind of cool, and maybe some of our cool high school students will think that's fun to do. So, but anyway, I had to go off on that tangent because I can't tell you, if you haven't been to one, you need to go, because it's ridiculous. They're ridiculous competitions. It is a sporting event where STEM is basically the sport. So I encourage you to go. It's a great program. It's helped a lot of children, I know. And just watching them engage, it's an impressive thing. And the more we can do it, in my mind, the better off we are. All right.
I got a question of you or Derek. Is the problem with the high school getting the students involved or getting the teachers involved, or both?
A little bit of both. The high school, McTech has been very successful the last couple of years with the high school program. Mr. Jones has taken that and run with it. And it's something you've got to have that person that's willing to do it. And it's a long season. When you look at this, we were very fortunate with board support to have been able to pay our coaches over the last couple of years, which has been awesome. But even taking that and dividing it out by a 7-8 month season, it's a big commitment. On the high school level and in elementary, as evidenced by the events, there were 50 qualifying teams in elementary this year, only 32 middle school teams. It's a recognized pattern. As kids get older, they focus on something. So even in the high school ranks, we don't see a huge number of participants like you do in elementary, but those that are participating have grown through the program and really embraced it and are using it. Now I know that we are exploring the possibility of getting a program started at Bluefield High School. Princeton High School already has all the materials from a previous grant when Mr. Atkins was the principal. And so there's bits and pieces that are there. We've just got to find the people that are willing to throw their hat in, just like any other sport and any other coach, just willing to give that extra time and then come alongside with them and help it grow. Because that's the natural next step.
Like in athletics, does the coach have to be a teacher or can it just be somebody from the community?
The way that our policy is written right now, the coach has to be a head coach of an organization, which would be the school, has to be a professional employee. Now, we just built in this year the ability to have adult volunteer coaches, kind of like we would have adult athletic supporters. But they have to be under the supervision of somebody that's a professional employee for safety and liability reasons.
It is extraordinarily time consuming. The people that are doing this get a stipend, and it looks like a generous stipend until you realize what they're doing and how much time they're spending. And it's not quite so generous after you kind of do the math in your head. You're like, oh.
Well, that's like teaching.
It's coaching in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, from the high school perspective, though, there's a lot of grant dollars out there that we're just trying to line the right people up. But if I've got that coach that's willing to do it, I know Mr. Collins at Bluefield has already opened up a place in his master schedule to have a robotics class. We have a robotics class at Princeton Senior High School. So all the tools that you need are there or can be there. It's just finding that person that'll take it beyond that classroom and actually put them in the competitions. It's now an SSAC recognized activity in the high school level, so you also have that ability and tie-in to compete.
So it's easier to get a robotics class and just get somebody to do as a sport?
Possibly.
I mean, if we had it in a class in our school, that would be great.
Yeah.
They have it at the high school.
You're still going to practice from time to
Yeah,
time.
it's
Like,
what Princeton and
Yeah.
Bluefield's going to get it.
like the way that we use robotics at the high school right now, it's a resource class, so it's not just those kids that would want to be on a competitive team. So I still need that teacher or a coach to work alongside with that class program and have that competitive side where you've got 8 or 10 students that are interested in being on a couple of teams that would compete.
It's the purest form of STEM that I've seen in action. I'm sure there are others, but this is the one we've got, and this is the one I've seen.
That's it.
that
Anything
it?
else under 23, 22, anybody? No?
Thank you so much.
Dr. Philpeck?
Okay.
Policy 2322, you know, when Amber brought this to me, the pamphlet or the whatever this is of policy 2322, personnel has such a small section in this, but it's so meaningful of what we need to do, and we do it and have been doing it for years. But policy 2322, specifically the HR department's contribution to this policy is basically we ensure that all certifications and licensures are met for our teachers. Not only does policy 2322 require you to have licensure for all your teachers, but we've got social workers, we've got our accountants now, we have our child nutrition supervisors. So there's a whole slew of people that are required to have licensures or certifications to meet this policy 2322. Carolyn Brown, our certification coordinator, she's the one who specifically takes care of all this information. She sends out notices twice a year to all of our employees that require certifications that will expire June 30th of this current year. She reminds them that they need to take college courses or do the e-learning online to obtain classes so that they can be certified. They don't want to let their certifications lapse, and so by June 30th, everybody should have their certification taken care of. Let's see, if you recall, one of the results of policy 2322, when we did not meet standard for our personnel section, we had like 79%. And so you look at, and you talk about all the things that I've talked about and how we ensure people are certified, but then we get 79%. Well, how does that happen? Well, policy 2322, when I guess this was rolled out, the State Department didn't, when they ran the reports that we were to look at, they had already ranked us at 79% for the year. So a lot of that has to do with we have to meet a certain criteria for us to meet standard. And unfortunately, we didn't do that because data that they were using was not, they couldn't explain it to us. Is that right, Mr. Toman?
That is very fair, Dr. Philpott. It was a little frustration with us, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was very frustrating because we never like to fail at anything or be below standard with anything. And so at this point, because we brought it to their attention, Mr. Toman did, I did, we talked with several different individuals. They are revamping that, and that's something that we had talked about several months ago, that they're revamping this reporting mechanism so that we actually will see the data before they actually distinguish if it meets the standard or if it's below standard or whatever.
Well, isn't that nice of them?
Yes, absolutely. So I feel certain with policy 2322, moving forward, we're going to meet standard and we are going to be successful in doing that.
Am I correct, if they had done it properly, we would have been one of 4 states that met the criteria, is that right?
4 counties.
4 counties, I'm sorry.
It's one of 3 of the other.
Yeah. We were disappointed. So,
Well, I mean, if they're not willing to correct their mistake, then what do you do?
Yeah.
I'll still tell people we met the criteria, they just wouldn't fix it.
good answer.
It's true, I'm just being honest. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Huddle?
My part of the policy, so special ed has a little bit bigger portion than personnel care. Small.
It's all in the book there if you
It's
look
right
at
below
the
there with
things.
sisters.
It's pretty neat.
So special ed is guided by our ADA, and so it's called ADA, and it stands for Annual Desk Audit. Our results will be released on April Fool's Day, April the 1st, so next week. And so that's what guides our department in picking a goal. We have to choose one goal of something that we didn't meet. And so for ADA, they judge us on 20 different standards. And so it's senior exits, graduation rate, testing for our special ed kids, testing timelines for evaluations for us, senior exits, 1-year follow-up surveys. It's a gamut of different things. And so we'll share those results with you on our April, I think 14th meeting, April 15th meeting that we have, 14th. So we'll share those results with you on how we're doing in special ed world. And all of our annual desk audit actually falls a year behind. So all of our data is previous from last year. Any questions?
Very good. This is good data to have in our minutes when the state reviews those things. That's perfect. Thank you all.
They can't ever accuse us of not talking about 2322, my gosh. Every meeting. We talk at length about it, which is what we're supposed to do, so I'm good with it.
They'll change what they're looking for.
Is that it?
That is it, sir.
All right,
Yes, sir.
then we'll get on to the agenda. Approval of the minutes for the March 10, 25 and March 18, 25 board meetings.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions, comments, or discussion? Then on the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Consent agenda. You'll have to pardon me, it's that time of year. Board Member number 282 is the West Virginia Extension Service Memorandum of Agreement for the fiscal year beginning July 1st of 25. The amount requested is $41,597.10. The current allocation is $33,803. Included in this for fiscal year 26 is a $6,500 allocation for a summer intern. This is all funded through the excess levy, and the superintendent recommends approval. Board Member number 283 is RFP 336 Broadband Services. These were issued for providing the Board of Education with broadband services at all locations. The total cost for broadband services is $180,000 annually. The board's cost is $18,000. The remainder is paid and reimbursed through, E-rate. Superintendent recommends approval of the award to Segra in the amount of $180,000. Board Member number 284 is the Verkada camera upgrades. This is a purchase of 199 Verkada CD42 indoor dome cameras with 365-day maximum video footage retention. This is to upgrade on our current Verkada SPED cameras. Following the upgrade, the cameras that we've been using for SPED will be repurposed to cover front doors and key security areas at all Mercer County schools. The total cost for the indoor dome cameras is $446,146.06. Pricing was provided through the Advantage Technology using the Omnia contract. Funding is from the 21st Century Technology Grant. Superintendent recommends purchase of 199 Verkada indoor dome cameras with a 1-year license from Advantage Technology. Board Memo Number 285 is approval of surplus items to be auctioned. There's tractors, snow blades, truck, and iPads. Board Memo Number 286 is a purchase of HVAC units for Pikeview High School. Director of Maintenance has requested we purchase 4 HVAC units for Pikeview High School from Ferguson using the Omnia Cooperative Contract. Total cost is $33,913.62. The units will be installed by our Maintenance Department. Superintendent recommends approval of the purchase of the 4 HVAC units from Ferguson. Excess levy funds are utilized for this purchase. Board Memo Number 287 is an RFP for RFP 337, which is employee benefits and S-125 administrators. This is to solicit proposals from qualified companies that can provide employee benefit and benefit support services to supplement current and future benefits offered by the district. We had a selection committee which established the rank of the vendors' responses. Responses were received from 3 qualified organizations and scored by the committee. American Fidelity received the highest points at 100. The superintendent recommends the award be made to American Fidelity. Payment of invoices is Memo Number 288. This is a list of invoices for payment for the month of March. Actual checks have been written or being held pending consideration by the school board. The superintendent recommends approval. Board Member Number 289 is the P-card transactions. Those transactions are attached. Superintendent recommends approval. Are there questions, comments, or discussion on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. I know I probably asked last year, but tell me again, what purpose or how do we utilize the extension service agreement? What does it provide for Mercer County Schools?
That was those packets
I
that I
know.
gave you.
I saw that. But how?
You got a more particular question?
Well, how involved are they with our schools, with any of the programs that they're offering? You know, do we, in your board or the board that you sit on, you know, the price went up $8,000 from last year, and part of it is because of a $6,500 summer intern. What's that intern going to do?
They are going to, well, it's like Jody explained last meeting. The summer intern's going to work in the summer. They do the camps out at the park, 4-H camps and things like that. And there was also an additional amount that we knew was coming because there was a small portion there that WVU had been responsible for, but through some reason they could not continue to do it. And this is also, keep in mind, part of our levy commitment. I think that's already in the levy. Is that correct, Mr. Bruce? I see.
You know, it's 4-H.
Yeah.
The biggest part of this is 4-H. And trust me, there's a lot of involvement in 4-H.
They're in the schools, several schools. A greenhouse, I think there's even one of the things we discussed, they're doing greenhouses, growing things with the kids, and there's also, hopefully they can get to Montcalm and help get that program going since we've got the greenhouse going.
Okay.
This intern, is that a new position?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else on the consent agenda?
No.
I had it. Let me go back up here. So, on this Advantage, Brent, it's, when we buy these cameras, the only thing I wondered about, I think I've lost it here, but 24,000 is that for the license?
That's
Now-
the annual license. That's
So,
1 year.
if you go with these cameras, are you really basically, do you have to go with them for the license then,
No,
going
you
forward?
can go, there's other vendors.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not, but you do have to have the license for them to work, from someone. You're not tied into a vendor.
Okay.
You can buy it from anywhere you, best price.
Do I need to not vote on the first one? I was wondering about that being,
No, you're.
No, you're on the
Yeah.
committee. No,
Yeah.
you don't have any, there's no reason for you to sit out. You're our you're our voice,
representative,
you're our
yeah.
voice there, and it helps us to know what's going on by you being there. So, yeah, we want you there. And you're good. So if there's nothing else, then on the consent agenda, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And on the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Under additional business, Board Memo number 290 is the GYO Apprenticeship Mentor and Additional Apprentice. McTech is requesting the addition of 2 grant-funded positions, a Grow Your Own Teacher Mentor and a Grow Your Own Apprentice. McTech was awarded a grant that will cover the cost of $10,000 of an apprentice mentor and $3,000 of wages for an additional apprentice. It will cover the cost to cover stipends for CYO apprentices that attend county organized and led trainings.
GYO.
Yeah, I'm scribbling, it makes it hard to read sometimes.
Which class?
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Questions, comments, or discussion?
Can you explain what the views of these people are?
Explain what?
So we received a safety grant. The mentor is the person that's going to oversee all of our apprentices. They're required to meet with them. They're required to give them resources as far as
Well, explain the apprentices, what
The
are they doing?
apprentice, okay, so we have 3 hired apprentices right now. We have 1 in secondary, 1 in elementary, and 1 in special ed. And so the goal for them is that they came through our Grow Your Own program, they return to work in our school system, and we pretty much are growing our own teachers. So our apprentice,
Are they
with this-
college students now, or they're already graduates?
they're college students right now.
They're the
So-
ones that are getting paid instead of a sub. I think
Yeah.
that's where the first
Yeah.
disconnect is, right?
So this would be hiring a new apprentice. So this person, we can hire an aide who wants to go in a transition to teach position, or we can hire a
Gotcha.
current college student or a high school student. But the goal is that they do things in our school system. And through this grant, Dr. Atkins can use them in any capacity. Like they can attend our training, they can work with a mentor teacher, and then they have our Grow Your Own mentor teacher that will work with them also. So it's supposed to keep them here. It's supposed to make college a little more affordable. Through this grant, Bluefield State also got the other half of the grant, and McDowell County got it. So McDowell County hired 2. Their county board paid for 1, and the grant paid for 1. And then Bluefield State is actually offering free tuition to any of the apprentices that come through this grant. So, pretty neat deal. The board, we don't pay anything as far as Mercer County goes. It all comes from the grant.
For the Bluefield State thing, 3 of our graduates, if they go to Bluefield State, they get free tuition. Is that what you're saying?
No, we have 3 hired from the first grant. We have 2 at Fairmont State and 1 at Bluefield State. They did not receive free tuition. They received $10 an hour, and then they got a wage increase in their junior year that went to $15 an hour. And then next year, they'll actually start their teacher in residency. And if we have any long-term positions through that MOU, they're guaranteed to get those, and they get 65% pay. This position is different. They've kind of changed how the apprenticeship model works. They want to tie it to a school because it's okay for our students to be at Fairmont, but it's a lot better when they're here. Like the young lady that's at Bluefield State, she's actually on the sub list, so she's been subbing. So it's really nice to have her here. She can get really acquainted with our elementary schools. She can sub up to 6th grade. So that model tends to work a little bit better, which is why they tied in the 4 years to try to keep those kids here.
But the new kids can get free tuition.
Yeah, whoever, if this position is approved and we would hire an apprentice, they would get free tuition at Bluefield State.
Yeehaw.
Good to me.
Can't beat free. Any other questions? All right, then on the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Board memo number 291 is employee discipline. Mr. Tobin.
President Prudich, I have a recommendation for you all to approve a suspension that the employee also agreed to, so that would be Eric Farmer, a custodian at Pikeview Middle School. a 3-day suspension without pay for March 11th, 12th, and 13th. Ask for your approval for a violation of employee code of conduct.
Move that we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Questions, comments, or discussion? And on the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Board memo number 292.
President Prudich, I'm recommending a 3-day suspension without pay for Cindy Cooper, who is has a speech position at Princeton Primary School, and for a violation of employee code of conduct. Her agreed suspension without pay was March 17th, 18th, and 19th. Ask for your approval, President Prudich.
Move that we approve.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Questions, comments, or discussion? Then on the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Last action item on the agenda is personnel. Number 293. Is there a motion to approve?
May I say one thing?
Please.
There's 2 coaches that need to come off of your listing, so if you can approve the agenda without those 2 coaches.
One being Matthew Wright, head girls soccer at Pikeview High School, and Nathan Cook, Pikeview Middle School, head boys and girls track. We had a little issue with Frontline where an individual applied for a job, but they did not show up on our listing. Whether it was, I don't know exactly what's happened. So, but the gentleman had confirmation that he did apply for it, and so he sent that to us. So Ms. Lilly and Mr. Rife are going to interview the individual and then make a recommendation. So we took all those individuals off so we can get that cleaned up.
So basically, you're reposting the positions.
Uh,
Well, not technically, not,
No, we're
you're
going to
interviewing.
interview, yes.
Okay.
And then we removed one substitute aide from the listing. And I forgot her name. Is there an Amanda or Ashley? Let me look. It's on the service side. No. I'm sorry. Let me look at my text because
Is it for a new Amber Wagner?
Wagner, Amanda Wagner.
Is that who it is?
Yes.
That's on the last page of the personal
Amber
agenda.
Wagner, yes. I couldn't remember her name.
Just
I
remove that
Just
one.
remove her for now, please.
Okay, so everybody understands those removals.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved with Dr. Philpott suggestion.
And there's a second. Out of an effort to be transparent, and because of my legal background, you say everything about everything. My nephew, Will Webster, is being named one of the coaches. I don't support Will. Will doesn't support me. I see him maybe every month or so and say hello. But I wanted people to know that I'm not going to recuse myself. We are family, but the relationship doesn't require it. All right.
Matthew Wright.
Nathan Cook.
He's on there twice under Pikeview Middle.
Head boys and girls track.
Is that Matthew Wright that's our principal?
Yes.
Okay. Just curious.
And then under the service, you got the service? Okay. All right, any further questions or discussion? Any need to go into executive session? There appearing to be none. Then on the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Mr. Timon, that's the end of our action items on the agenda. I'll turn it over to you.
Dr. Atkins, Ms. Mitchell, any updates from administration? We'll go with you two first. Anything?
Mine would be, I would like for.
Well, I'll get Danielle then, that's fine. If we're, yeah, and then go ahead, pass it back to Dr. Phil Peck and Mr. Atkins. Yeah.
Just real quickly, April 14th is our big day for all of our RIF and transfer items to be listed on the board agenda, so that'll be a pretty lengthy agenda for you all to look through, but we're working on it now to complete,
And do you all have any questions about anything that I can answer at this point for you?
How many refs?
We have more than 40. Yeah, and a lot of that is because of the ABE, the Adult Basic Ed, our Community and Schools grant, and just our normal cuts that we would make through title and other grant funded
So
positions.
ABE.
Is it different
we
than
just don't know,
normal?
right? We don't know.
It's different from the normal where they get ripped and hired back?
Yes, so years ago, when I first started in this position, we would take all of those positions, Jacinda, and we would either give them a transfer notice or a reduction in force if they didn't have a license, certifications other than ABE. And so we saw this trend where, you know, every year we got funding for it. Well, now we've been instructed by the Mindy Marshall, yes, at the State Department, that is indicated to us that we needed to make sure that we took care of the ABE, the individuals who teach the adult programs here at the Tech Center, and those. Then we've got separate information for the communities and schools. We're hopeful that we'll get all of them back, but at this point in time, you know, we're not sure.
It's more unsure than normal.
Yeah. So
Well, the legislation that's working its way through has not passed to start with. There's indications the governor doesn't particularly like it, so that's the second thing. And that doesn't even come into effect until 26 at the end of the school year. So you would think that we would get the programs back at least this year.
Yeah, we're hopeful, and hopefully it's not any reduction in funding or anything like that, but right now we're just not sure, and so we plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Absolutely. That's the best way to do it. Hope we don't lose anybody in the meantime.
And I have had conversations, Dr. Atkins has had conversations, Ms. Mitchell has had conversations with all of these individuals, specifically to tell them, you know, where they're at with things, but, you know, we're hopeful, and then in their conversations of mine as well, we're hopeful that they'll be rescinded back, and all this will be a moot point. I've joked and said all my hard work will be for nothing, which I'm hopeful for. That's the only time you can hope that your work goes unnoticed, but I hope that we all hope that people get their jobs and they don't take off.
Absolutely.
Mr. Atkins? Ms. Harrison? You got a couple things?
I'm going to talk really fast. One thing that I wanted to report to you was Dr. Atkins and I applied for a $25,000 grant to go towards summer learning programs. We'll find out at the end of the month if we receive that. Well, maybe a little bit later than the end of the month. Another thing I want to talk to you about was the Purple Star Award, which is a designation that schools can get to show that they provide support to military-connected families. They do some special activities. They reach out to families, and they just try to make sure that they're taking care of those kids whose parents could possibly be deployed. La Casa Hodges, Oakville, has been a Purple Star Award school for many years. So this year, our push was to get all of our schools registered as Purple Star Award schools, and then our district can also become one. So on the next board agenda, there will be a resolution saying that Mercer County Schools will be a Purple Star Award district, and that we make sure that we take care of our military-connected families. The last thing I want to talk to you about.
Also, tell them about who the contact is with that, Malice and...
and Robert Mellis at the State Department, I'm so sorry. And Jessica Lynch is actually the one that helped us push for the district, because we were told we would have to wait another year before we could do that. But I think that she pushed for us to be able to get the county distinction, which is a great thing.
She's also looking to be our guest speaker for the Military Patriots Pledge. Jessica Lynch is coming down for that, so we'll get more information, but she's committed to that. So
yes, which is super great. And the last thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is AI. That is something that I'm super interested in, even as a former English teacher, believe it or not. It's something that I've kind of dove into and been researching, and Mr. Toman brought back several platforms from that AASA training that he went to in New Orleans. And a couple of them I've been really playing with and having a great time. I'm going to have to show you some of that later. And we are going to have an AI training this Thursday at 3:30 at the central office. But I'm going to age myself here. Do you remember, back in 93, 94 when the internet first came out? My dad has always been tech savvy, and I remember coming home from college one weekend, and Dad's like, yeah, you can get on the internet, and you can look at this, and I wasn't very impressed, because there weren't that many websites back then. I was like, whatever. And I think AI has probably started that way. With the internet, it took a long time, and now we can't imagine a world without it. I think AI is that way as well. It's going to be changing daily. It's amazing. It truly is amazing. It can save teachers so much time. And we just need to choose the best platforms and train them and just assist them with it. It's a cool thing. It really is.
In the keynote that was at in New Orleans, messaged me this weekend, Sunday, that he's going to be at WASA here in West Virginia. They got a hold of him to come up here and do that at there, so it's pretty exciting. But
well, every time I hear somebody, and it's usually one of us older people saying something negative about AI, all I can think of is some guy with a horse going, those four-wheel things aren't going to be anything at all. Just we don't care about those things. They're not our future. So I keep trying to remind myself, don't be that person. We need to figure out how to use it appropriately and beneficially, and that's great. I'm glad you're looking at it.
Right, and just like when we have to teach kids what's reliable and is not reliable on the internet, the same thing goes with AI. We just have to teach them the correct way to use it. And the last thing I was going to talk about is the 21st Century Community Learning Grant. After we looked at it, it's definitely more for a community learning setup. We could not provide the number of hours per week for an after-school program that they require. They require a minimum of 10 hours of after-school time for after-school tutoring or a program or whatever. Our issue would be with attendance. It would be hard for students to commit, and teachers as well, 10 extra hours each week after school. So what we did, and Dr. Atkins and Mr. Toman and I spoke about it, and we reached out to the Wade Center. And I sent them all of the information, and they are going to apply for it. And I told them any data that they needed from us that we're allowed to give, we would be happy to help them in that process.
That's awesome. That's what we should be doing, working with each other.
Two little pieces when she mentioned the AI, that one superintendent was speaking the other day and said it's not the invention of the microwave coming in the kitchen, it is renovating the whole kitchen is what AI is. And then it says, think of somebody that you need I'll use the word geeky assistant, whatever you need. What do you need to get better? That is AI, and anything to assist you that way that you can find any of the information was talked about, and it's huge. But I got different things I'm excited to get with Brent and some of his team and sit down for a couple hours maybe. So we'll move to.
Yeah, that one you sent me. I don't think it was entirely accurate. I was looking at it, and you said scan yourself in there and look, and I'm reading it. I'm going, I'm not that guy. That's a little much.
And your brother was very impressive when we looked up
no
your brother.
Kidding. Well, but yes, he actually is impressive.
It is very impressive, and all the things from.
He's been in it.
Yes.
He's been in it.
We spent some time just going through there and going through some stuff, so it's pretty interesting.
He's been to Brazil 3 times this year. They love him down there.
And Grey's Anatomy and all the stuff there, and I mean, it was impressive by just typing in his name. And that's it.
Oh, that's cool.
Because he sent you a photo and a bio. Well, I bet I sent him 20 texts. You got to send it in. She needs it.
And we had several photos that pulled up on that, didn't we? So
he probably sent you a photo from 20 years ago.
Yeah, they had several. No. Ms. Huddle, anything? Ms. Farmer, anything you want to add from your day? And we'll wrap it.
We had a CTE meeting this morning at 8, and then we met with some legislators, whoever would speak to us regarding the House bill that transfers our adult programs to CTCs. Unfortunately, our 3 Mercer County delegates are all very supportive of the bill. We did speak to them, though. We do feel like we have some support from delegates in other areas, so that was good. One of the delegates from Raleigh-Fayette area is very instrumental right now in trying to get this bill squashed. So we're hoping that we made some headway. It's going to be a unique task that our board will have if this bill does pass, because pretty much we give our space to the CTC. They do with it what they want. Our employees are at-will employees, and it'll be a very interesting predicament. We'll have a year transition period to go from our adult programs to CTC's adult programs. So we're hoping that it doesn't pass.
What was the justification that our local delegates gave for supporting it?
Well, our local delegates didn't even know that we had adult programs at Big Tech.
Oh my God.
They also did not know that one of the big reasons that they gave was so that students would have access to their Pell Grant. So I did educate them that we have a financial aid coordinator who is trained in financial aid. She goes to the same trainings that people from CTCs go to, and we do offer Pell Grants. We offer everything but student loans. So they did not know that, so that was good information that we were able to give. But
I thought CTC was free now.
It
They didn't know
is.
that either, did they?
It is if you qualify and jump through the hoops. So this was something interesting that one of the delegates gave us information on today. One of the reasons he's in big opposition to the bill is CTCs are required with West Virginia Invest to drug test once a semester. There have been 1,400 drug tests in 5 years paid for through West Virginia Invest. So he said obviously it's not getting done. And that was something that they were very adamant about putting into the bill. So he said that if they can't take care of what they've already supposed to have been taking care of, how can they absorb our programs? But that was neither here nor there. So we're hopeful that we get our money back. We're hopeful that our teachers don't lose their jobs and that they're not moved to at-will employees, because that means adjunct. So you're taking a full-time faculty member and moving them to adjunct is pretty much what that looks like.
Now, if they teach our students, though, we're okay. Is that not correct?
Yeah, but we don't have duplication in our adult and our day,
So
right?
we have a cosmetology instructor that's part adult, part high school, and we have a dental assisting instructor that's part high school, part adult. The rest of them are strictly adult. So, and then we have 2 people in our office staff.
The bill is, the last time I read it, we don't lose anything we own before. Is that still the case?
The equipment.
Right.
So the committee substitute for the bill was that all equipment transfers.
Even if we bought it before.
Yep.
Even
Unless
if-
it was bought with Perkins money, which is strictly high school.
Even if we're using it for our high school programs?
If it was bought out of an ACE Advantage or an ACE Block grant, then it goes to the CTC, even if we're using it.
Which office employees are under that funding?
Kim Motorback and Kim Roddenberry.
Well,
Well, you know, if it ain't broke, break it.
Well, we talked highly of, we talked a lot about our completer rates. So at McTech, we have an 80% completer rate, and our local CTCs are at 21%. So we highlighted that number. Most all of the ACE programs in the school are above 80% or 75 to above. So we tried to harp on that number. We tried to harp on the impact that we think we have with adult students, especially our LPN students and their bridge to Bluefield State. Bluefield State's president also spoke to a lot of the legislators. He was very supportive. He does not want this bill to pass because he said that there is no comparison to the caliber of our program to what CTCs give. And he said that's why they don't offer a bridge to other programs. They offer it to ours and to ACT and Beckley.
so was this started as some type of political push from the community colleges? Is that what started it, or?
It was started by the Higher Ed Policy Commission, and then the WVDE actually wrote a large portion of the bill, which we found out today. We had been told otherwise, but the delegates shared some information with us today that they had received.
Yeah, the
So,
State Department is pushing this.
yeah, it takes a lot of the burden off of the State Department and puts it on the higher ed
Because
policy
they don't want to have to
commission.
oversee what's going
Yeah,
on.
they don't have to oversee, they don't have to divvy up the money, they don't have to do anything. Yeah. So, it was a unique day.
That's probably what's happening to the positions.
We also have 141 high school, middle school, and adult students going to Fairmont Thursday. So please, you guys say a prayer for us. We're gonna.
Is that for Skills USA?
Yes, they're going to Skills. So it's the first time we have taken middle schoolers, which is going to be interesting. So we're hoping that they do well. But that's good news.
Mr. Mitchell, or Mr. Murphy, I'm sorry.
Hey, Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell.
Will be quick. So the,
School safety, so we got a meeting with Mr. Jonah Atkins tomorrow discussing some school safety initiatives that we've got. In those are the push button, emergency crisis alert buttons. We're looking at all the options available out there just to make sure we flush out any particular options, as well as software options and app options as well, just on the phone. So we've got some discussions with him on that. Additionally, I want to leverage his expertise with the camera purchase that was approved tonight. We're going to take we'll have some cameras, some Verkada cameras that are very capable of doing analytics at the school buildings. And what that means is they can analyze who's coming into the building. If there was a particular person that was not to be allowed on school property, it could alert school administration that that person did walk into the parking lot or something like that. And it does some weapons detection. If they're visible objects that are being carried into the school, it can give alerts before that actually happens. So they can do some really neat things there and some good school safety measures. So we want to leverage his expertise on placement of those cameras and how best to use those in the county. These will also allow us to do some the vape detectors that we've got. It will allow us to tie that to a camera, so we can send the school administrator if there was a vape detection. Excuse me. We can send them the actual clip of who walked into the restroom and who walked out of the restroom during that time that the vape was detected. So we do. We've got some initiatives. We need to look at some additional detectors, I think, on that, but it will allow us to do that.
Yeah, I'll interrupt just a second. Everybody sitting at this table is extremely tired of all the expulsions we're having to do with regards to vapes and THCs and everything like that. I had Amber get me the numbers, and it's ridiculous. So I was talking to an SRO. I'm trying to learn the acronyms, but one of our campus cops. And I said, what would be the best thing for these detectors? Well, he said, one, if they'd be used. Because the ones that are in there, in some of the schools, you've got one in a bathroom that's far into the school, and you've got an administrator that's down on the other end of the school, and they just weren't getting utilized. While I was sitting there talking with Brent, he had 2 alerts come up on his screen in his office that said there was vape detection in such and such school. So I said, do these things have the ability to do 2 additional things? Because he was telling me about the cameras, and we can place them outside the bathrooms, and it gives you a little clip of who it is. Well, I said, do they have the ability to let off some kind of an audible alarm, whether it be a Ooga horn or a car horn or whatever it might be the first one. And the second, could it wirelessly or some way be affixed to a light above the vestibule or going into the bathroom and lets it just flash like a white light or something like that. That way, you know something's going on. So he dug in, called Verkada while I was there, and he's been back and forth with them. So that's that's what this thing can do. Now, is it going to stop it? No, but it can slow it down. It's kind of like the drug dogs that you had in school the other day. You know, if something like this can curtail it while they're in school, we've got to do it. You know, and maybe if we need to find funding.
You can't go there, it's not on the agenda.
I was just
Talk about funding.
talking.
I know, but don't talk about funding.
Well, I have
We'll to
ideas.
act on it later.
Okay. Well, that's why I asked him, and I appreciate Brent looking into this, to see what we can additionally do with the cameras,
Gotcha.
which you already have.
Right. Anything else? Anything else come for the board?
Move adjourned.
Is there a second? Any objection? We're done.